Dude, America first! America first! Get that through your head! Dude, America first! America first! You heard that before? What? America first! America first! What the hell, man? Dude, America first! America first! To all of you, let me explain one damn thing. America, America, America. Dude, you understand? America, America, America. My point is America's first. America, America, America. What the hell, man? Globalists, no! Goblins, no! This is it. Everybody get ready! America first! America first! Get that through your head! Dude, America first! America first! You heard that before? What? America first! America first! Get that through your head! America first! America first! He trolled him. He baited him. He trolled him. He baited him. He trolled him. He baited him. I wish I was that smart. See, that's the Trump dimension. That's the Trump dimension. He trolled him. That's the Trump dimension. He baited him. That's the Trump dimension. He trolled him. That's the Trump dimension. That's the Trump dimension. He trolled him. That's the Trump dimension. He baited him. I wish I was that smart. See, that's the Trump dimension. It's Trump. The plan of Trump. And thus, by extension, Trump. Trump just trolled you. But that's okay. It's Trump. The plan of Trump. And thus, by extension, Trump. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, succubus with goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. Dump it. Charging into a goblin's nest, some goblin vomit and slop and blood on it. Especially up to his ankles. Trump charging into a goblin's nest, some goblin vomit and slop. Goblin vomit and slop. I'm not expecting him to not get dirty slop. Kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, succubus with goblins, in bed with a goblin. Kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins. I just want to catch him in bed with a goblin, in bed with a goblin, in bed with a goblin, in bed with a goblin. I just want to catch him in bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin. And they tell the trendies how the trendies go, rip me off. Get into it. Jump up and down. Going, I mean, that's what we're dealing with here, and I'm sick of it. And we're not getting what humans always thought was key: the bone broth, 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 the bone broth. Well, now it's the next level of that. It's caveman. Hey, I need a glass of caveman. Caveman. Man. It's better than Ovaltine. Better than Ovaltine. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Caveman is just over the top. what in the world? But now with the milk, I was like, whoa, this has milk in it. Whoa. It tastes like good. Man, this tastes so good. Tastes like the best milkshake ever. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. Like good. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. It tastes like Ovaltine. Like good. Whoa.
This is I can say without a doubt, at least in my experience, that this is literally...
This is a super home run available at InfoWarsLife.com, and it supports the broadcast. All right, all the big news straight ahead. Thanks, Buckley. Whoa. You die! Murder! Government documents! And I walk out, and Blair Buckley goes, Elvis!
A lot of things these jobs could do, make it iron west.
Getting to kill 1 million Americans. The government lies. You're going to die. No, the thousands of astronauts that died. What's happening in Japan, blowing up the sea. You will line up and they will rope you and your family. Pain, judgment, or GMO, death, destruction, disease, fire spreading, dance, rotten bodies. Alex, Alex, yes! Alex, Alex, yes! Alex, Alex! And slack! Booga, 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 keep rolling, rolling. Government documents. And I walk out and Blair Buckley goes, Elvis.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Tinfoil Tuesday. Sorry I'm a little earlier today. Baja and I have an appointment to go look at a house at 6, so I needed to do this a little early today so I have time to go and do that. Yeah. So welcome. Let's see what I missed in chat. WagRoads13, thanks for 100 bits. 74Quinn74, thanks for subscribing for 11 months. Much appreciated. And hello, Baja, how are you doing? Today we have some different stuff to look at. We have Gene Simmons, who is apparently fighting with flat earthers or something. This is just someone talking about flat earth. We have Alex Jones's deposition. I don't know if we're going to get into that today because it's 3 hours long, but it might be interesting to look at. We have some conspiracy theories about JFK Jr. Is JFK Jr. still alive? And is it this man? It's not. It's not. Here we have a video claiming Princess Diana and JFK Jr. are still alive. And this one claims Princess Diana, Michael Jackson, and Elvis are alive, and they're working with Donald Trump. So we'll take a look at that. And, yeah, it's just going to be a good one. So, welcome everyone. Get your bingo cards ready. If we do a hype train, I will don my various tinfoil vestments. 74Quinn74 says, Hannah, you look so beautiful and femme. Honestly, you look cis. Thank you. Oh, I do think I have that Peter interview pulled up somewhere. Do I? Maybe I don't. I watched part of it. I don't know if I found it that interesting, but I can pull it up and we can potentially skip through it. At least the interesting parts. Some of it I found to be a little boring, but what are you gonna do? We're on a hype train. Hooray. Jones's deposition, which lawsuit? That's a good question. I'm actually not sure if it's the Sandy Hook one or if it's his, why can't I think of the word? Kids. His ability to see his kids and be their guardian. 74 Quinn, nope, read that one. Kirthin with the link says, this has been stuck in my head for like 3 days.
Oh, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam respect people who enter into the arena. You do anything you can to.
Christopher Rosh with 30 bits says, "Hey Hannah, I know we're not talking about demons and the sort today, but I came across this video and immediately thought of you.
What is up my belly button?
Witchcraft works, but it costs your life." We might watch that. Jody Girl 78, thank you for 100 bits. Much appreciated. 70% to level 2 on the hype train.
Avoid the debate. Come on, man. No idea that you were taking your show off early last time. I had no idea.
74 Quinn 74, thanks for 5 subs to the community.
What a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. I always respect people who enter into the arena.
Seems that even Crowder had gotten some cold feet, so I don't think he's coming.
Why is that?
I would love to ask him myself. He's not even answering anymore.
Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. 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 I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy.
Quiet 185, thank you for 6 months. Says, yay, 6 months on Twitch. 74 Quinn 74 says, if what I said wasn't a compliment, I sincerely apologize. I know that could go either way. I know you didn't intend it to sound condescending. In the let me put it this way: it doesn't offend me. I understand what you were trying to say, but I wouldn't say that to a trans person generally. I don't think it's a great idea to word it that way. But I understand what you were saying, and I appreciate the compliment. Fresno 12, thank you for gifting a sub. Marusama says, have a bunny cleanse for later. My bun rune turns 7 years old next week. Aw. I like that rug. Ooh, and that bag. Is this a bag? That's a cool bag. What a cutie. Maps and Mimics, thanks for 6 months, says, thank you for making my slow work day more bearable, of course. Sky Comet Fallen says, I was debating with Chuds about vaccinations on YouTube. They have no response when confronted with my body, my choice from an anti-abortion person is hypocrisy. Moira Soma, thanks for 300 bits, and we're at 77% of level 4. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're trans too. It's just everyone. It's fine. It's whatever. We all say things that are iffy sometimes. It's fine. Kirthin with 100 bits says Steel maybe becomes the stream boss. I'm not looking at that right now though, so I don't know. Bitter Grin, thanks for gifting 5 subs to the community. Butt Cheeks McClown, thank you for gifting 2 subs to the community. Getting a lot of gift subs today, that's nice. We've been low on gift subs the past couple months. Real quick, I wanted to see this. I don't know what it is, but I wanted to look at it. Tellurian Katrin with 30 bits says, super glad you're streaming today. It's a stressful anniversary for me, and I'm stoked to look at Weird Conspiracy PS. Well, I'm glad that you're here for it. Cidosaurus says, first time I get to play bingo, I'm usually at work. Oh, fun. Danny Does 133 says, can't stick around for long. Thanks for the YouTube uploads. Of course. I'm going to try and stay on top of them. I'm sorry I got so behind on it.
People will criticize what I'm about to say. The young man sitting there, excited as he was, that's one less black kid on a corner somewhere getting ready to use a weapon. People will criticize.
What? Jeff Bezos going into space is going to stop inner city gun violence? What?
Was. That's one less
107% of level 5. We did it. Thank you, everyone.
black kid on a corner somewhere getting ready to use a weapon.
What do we do about inner city youth violence? Send them into space! What the fuck is this? John Lee 3000 says, hi Hannah, bits for hype, hope your day is going well. I hope yours is too. E-Tune says, I am 70% sure I've turned mildly lactose intolerant, or at least I can't super handle large amounts of ice cream or Alfredo. That sucks. I'm sorry. There are dairy-free options for stuff like that. Baja makes a pretty mean Alfredo that's vegan. I know that's rough, though. I'm a big fan of dairy and cheese and all that stuff, so. They make pretty good dairy-free ice cream, though. Try the Ben & Jerry's dairy-free. Pretty good. Pulp Free Fiction says, is it just me or was Bezos' rocket even more phallic than Dr. Evil's? Cinosaurus says, some rich a-hole is having some contest to send some people into space. I think the ad said it was Richard Branson. It might be. I don't like the whole billionaire space race bullshit thing. I did say cheese. You're right. That counts. That wasn't getting tricked. It came up naturally. Andrew Batella says, why can't someone be both a space geek and be forced into crime by capitalism? True. Mark off cheese on the bingo card. God, I gotta get some more of that good cheese I got a while back. It's so good. I'm having withdrawals. Okay, I'll start putting on the tinfoil since we're, Oh no, this got a little deformed. Something must have laid on it. It kind of fixed. Minute left on the hype train. Vegan cheese, what's my opinion? I've not yet had vegan cheese that I really liked. I had some vegan Parmesan that was okay, but any other vegan cheese I've had, it just didn't taste right. There's one that I think is just, like, and I respect that Baja really, really likes it. She makes this vegan mac and cheese, and she makes this, like, cheese sauce for it. And I'm glad she likes it. She's never been a big fan of cheese, even before going vegan, so it tasting cheesy does not, matter so much to her. But she makes this vegan cheese sauce that goes on the mac and cheese, and it's I can't stand it. The smell is not great to me, but it's, whatever. I'm glad she likes it. I've had some vegan American cheese that I didn't find particularly good. Again, like, the meat substitutes have gotten really good. The food scientists need to work on the cheese. Do I remember what the kind of cheese the good one I missed was? It was like olive oil and some sort of herb Asiago. Pretty good. 74 Quinn 74 says, I recently made mac and cheese, but with soaked sunflower seeds. It was actually super good, and I'm not vegan. Oh, cool. Okay, I have my bee-trippin' Freemason gavel ready to go. Let's do this. I've not tried cashew cheese, at least I don't think so.
Chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny.
Nah, I think I'm gonna do the vest. This is already hot.
Won't you fight for your life? real slow for you. Place point.
All right, let's see what we're going to take a look at first. Let's take a look at from We the People News, which I'm sure is a very reputable source. Let's take a look at Princess Diana and JFK Jr. still alive? Question mark. It's a rule in journalism typically that you don't want to have a headline that someone can look at and immediately respond yes or no to. This breaks that rule. Princess Diana and JFK Jr. alive? No. But let's take a look at the video and see why they think they are.
You'll ever be queen?
No, I don't. No.
Why do you think that?
I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts, in people's hearts. But I don't see myself being queen of this country. I don't think many people would want me to be queen. Actually, when I say many people, I mean the establishment that I'm married into. Because they've decided that I'm a non-starter.
Why do you think they've decided that?
Because I do things differently. Because I don't go by a rule book. Because I lead from the heart. I just don't think I have as many supporters in that environment than I did. Yeah.
You mean within the royal household?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They see me as a threat of some kind. And I'm here to do good, not to dishonour.
That's not about a conspiracy. It's well known that, like, Diana was not someone that most of the royal family liked. She was too common, you know? She wasn't all for the pomp and the bullshit of being a royal. Yeah, they didn't like her. That's not about a conspiracy. Desk Lang, thanks for subscribing for 4 months. It's always fun to see what the conspiracy theorists put in the montages for their intros. Kind of gives you a nice focus on, like, okay, what's this person's favorite pet conspiracy theories? Remember that time that, like, a bunch of presidents and ex-presidents and first ladies and stuff went to a funeral? I don't even remember whose funeral it was. And they were reading, like, you know, special letters that they got at the funeral. And conspiracy theorists were like, OMG, they're being told some secret Q stuff. Like, these are letters that are telling them they're fucked. Oh, it was McCain's. You're right. It might have been McCain's. And it's like, no, they're just at a funeral. It's fine. Mike Max says, basically, Diana was basic. I wouldn't say Diana was basic. I would say the royal family are elitist, snobby pieces of shit. Oh, was it George H.W.'s funeral? Okay. Creepy UFO babies. It's a long intro. Get to the conspiracy. We get it. They had a little disclaimer.
Good morning, Patriots. So, I woke up this morning. David Zublik was reporting that JFK Jr. and Princess Diana...
You know what I appreciate? Lady conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy theory are dominated by dudes. More lady conspiracy theorists.
And were alive, and so I started to do my own research.
She did her own research by watching other people's shitty Rumble videos.
Find this article from conspiracydailyupdate.com. Now
Oh, she did her research on conspiracydailyupdate.com, the most reputable source available.
I've always suspected that they were alive. JFK Jr. has been spotted many times at the Trump rallies wearing kind of a disguise.
No, that's not him. It's just some rando.
Same with Diana.
Yes, that counts as research, not by a researcher on the bingo card.
There was photos that were put out a long time ago where people were spotting various people that they thought were dead.
Gaslight gatekeep girl-anon.
And Diana was one of them. So there's suspicion has been around for a while. And it makes sense because JFK Jr. knew that there was a deep state and that they killed his father.
No. JFK was killed by a crazy guy in a book depository. Why am I blanking on his name? I know his name. There was an episode of Quantum Leap where Sam leapt into him. Why is my reference for every historical event some random TV show or movie? I need to read more books. Lee Harvey Oswald. Thank you.
He knew that. So obviously he knew that they were going to target him. And he probably, figured out their plan and, faked his death that way.
You think you're gonna assassinate me? I'll assassinate myself and go into hiding for 20 years and then start going to Donald Trump rallies when he inevitably runs for president in 2016. Galaxy brain.
I also knew Joe Biden was a traitor to the country.
Wow, that's impressive that he knew that and was focused on that. Even Joe Biden wasn't the president in 1999 when JFK Jr. died. He was just a senator, whatever.
Sent Joe Biden a note telling him so. So, JFK Jr. then became a target for being, suicided, I guess. So, the story, as written here, is what happened.
I kind of wish Biden was as badass as they pretend he is in conspiracy circles. It'd be interesting to see maniacal assassin Biden destroying his political enemies with their malarkey. Casper the Lord of Dark says, who reads nowadays? And Wagrode says, TV is more memorable than textbooks. I guess. That's not good, though. My frame of reference for Lee Harvey Oswald should not be... It shouldn't be, Scott Bakula pretending to be him while talking to a hologram,
And how these people got together. And I'm going to go ahead and just read it. What if... And this is, it says, Princess Diana, she knew the royals wanted her dead. So, like another, she faked her death. Allied with the one person.
That's actually one that wouldn't surprise me. I don't believe it, implicitly, because I've not seen any evidence to that effect. But, like, if tomorrow some actual documentation came out that's like, oh, the royal family had Diana killed because they thought they made them look bad, I'd be like, oh, that tracks. Again, I don't believe it because I don't think there's evidence of that. But it's one of those ones that's like, yeah... The obscenely wealthy and powerful probably kill people sometimes. It wouldn't surprise me. But you can't make that claim without evidence. That's not cool. Not That Fragile says, I'm only listening to the audio and this lady sounds exactly like the 19 Kids and Counting mom.
Person whom she knew she could trust. And together they developed a plan. She was constantly talking to her, I guess it's her maid. And I remember back in the day that, some of these people like the maid or the people that worked underneath Diana to help, like her personal assistant, she would confide in them, and then they would sometimes, after her death, they would tell kind of the things that she said. And, you know, she did talk about, I remember this. I remember this. The royals being reptilians. And I thought, well, maybe she meant that they're just like, you know, creepy or something. And I remember going, that's weird. But she literally used that word. Now, my understanding is that they're...
According to some random housekeeper who presumably went to a tabloid and was like, let me tell you what Princess Diana said to me before she died, and she can't confirm or deny because she's dead. She said the royals are lizard people. Totes, believe me.
Hybrids. These royal families, like the Duke of Orange, all these royal families, the Rothschilds, the royal family.
It's always interesting to me that Trump is exempt from this, even though he has, you know, inherited wealth. He's like a dynasty. Trump isn't a reptoid, though, because he's a good guy, clearly. Does that count for reptilians on bingo? You bet it does. I think we have my research, said not by a researcher, and we have reptilians.
The Lee family, you know, the 13 bloodlines, they are what, they're not pure reptilian, but what they are is, they have high levels of that blood, the reptilian blood, in them. And
is that like a like they do a blood transfusion, or like their mom banged a lizard? I can't tell what you mean.
So we call them hybrids, and they, you know, they consider themselves above humanity and different from humanity. And they obviously act different. They act like reptiles.
In what way? I've never seen the Queen of England basking under a sun lamp for 8 hours. Like, what do you mean they act like reptiles?
They have no empathy. They're all like...
They unhinge their jaws and they eat their prey whole. What do you mean they act like reptiles?
Sociopaths, and they're greedy, and all they want is money and power.
Yeah, that's just being a selfish, rich asshole. I've never seen a lizard break up a union. You know what I mean? Like, that's not lizard behavior. That's not reptoid behavior. That's human, selfish, capitalist behavior. They bleed green like Spock. So they're Vulcans, then. That's not a lizard person.
And they consider the humanity to be like chattel, to be like, you know, disposable.
Again, you're describing the ultra wealthy. They're not reptiles. They're just assholes. What's with all the harmful stereotyping of reptilians? I know. It's unfortunate.
And, you know, Princess Diana married into the family, so she wasn't part of that. And so she recognized...
Is the lizard stuff count as thinly veiled anti-Semitism? There are situations where I think it can be, depending on how it's presented. I don't think here that's her intention, so I'm going to say no in this case. That doesn't mean it never is, but I don't think it is here, unless she expounds further and it gets, you know, yikesy. Kippy says, oh, she means act reptilian, as in acts like my perception of Jewish people. Again, I don't know if she knows she's doing that. That's the thing about some of these conspiracy theorists, is even the ones that aren't really anti-Semitic tend to pick up the talking points of the anti-Semitic ones, and they'll just apply it to, like, reptoids as opposed to, like, an ethnic or religious group. So it's usually a tough call. This one I'm going to say I don't think she's doing it intentionally. I don't think she's trying to dog whistle. I think she's just picked up language that's sort of been laundered through the conspiracy laundering process. That's how a lot of these conspiracy theories work. It'll take something awful, anti-Semitism, or like authoritarian control of the government, and it'll sort of launder those ideas through conspiracies to make them more palatable to people who otherwise might not be susceptible. So I think that's what's happening here. I don't necessarily think she's intentionally being anti-Semitic. Again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. As we continue to watch this video, maybe I'll be proven wrong. Rothschilds is thinly veiled anti-Semitism. I could see it. Again, I don't know if she's intentionally doing that or if she just picked it up from someone else. Let's watch the video for a little bit longer and I'll make a call on that. I'm not positive yet.
Recognized right away that these people were evil, and she would even say that they were evil. Man,
Does it count as aliens? Not necessarily. They don't always think reptilians are aliens.
I was into reading all that stuff when I was younger, and she, I remember her saying some stuff about the royal family. That was kind of shocking, about how evil they were, how they eat children and stuff. And I remember thinking, she's just joking, or that can't be true, you know?
It's not true.
I mean, back in those days, we didn't hear anything about this stuff.
Yeah, because you didn't have access to internet echo chambers full of weird randos posting bullshit for each other to feed upon.
Reptilian stuff. So now it seems to make sense. All right, let me read the article. This is about a beautifully good princess and two strapping young men who chose a totally different path than being part of the elite dark cabal who were in the same circles, but never conformed to them. These three co-created a plan that was literally shaken and shattered our techno-matrix world. Meet the beautiful, pure, good, and lovely Princess Diana. She was forced into a marriage where she was nothing more than a breeder for the reptilian royal family, who, in Diana's words, at 19, was forced to marry a man only using her to bear his children, and then she would be thrown aside. She quickly learned about the horrific crimes of the Queen.
Who's the source on this claim? Again, obviously Diana's dead. It's not coming directly from her. So who's claiming she said this?
And royal family. She realized they, the Queen, ran many of the secret societies, ate, raped, and trafficked children while ritually sacrificing them to Satan.
These people have a weird focus on Satan. That's Satanism on the bingo card. Satanic ritual child abuse.
How does a good and beautiful princess...
Can you become reptilian? I'm already reptilian. I was born a reptilian. Can you become one? I guess. Sure. You'd have to subsist on my blood for several months, but you could do it.
Handle this when she's in a situation with no control and powerless. Her boys, she had little control over. They were to be groomed to take roles of power and authority. She was told she was nothing more than a breeder. Her relationship with the Queen was horrible. She hated the Queen, and the Queen hated her.
That, I think, is true. They didn't have a great relationship.
She even specifically said that the Queen is evil.
I could see her saying that. The Queen is probably evil in the colloquial sense. Admiral Owl, thanks for subscribing for 12 months. Happy anniversary.
Where does this leave her?
Can you get a bingo link? Yeah, sure. If you ever want a bingo link, all you have to do is do ! Bingo, and it'll pop up. Or it should. Is Streamlabs not working well right now? Weird. The Streamlabs bot must not be working. Let me get you a link to the bingo card, sorry. Why can't I actually get to the page? Play online. There we go. There's a link. Actually, you might want this one.
A major threat, and she knew this. So what does a beautiful, good princess do when she knows her fate is going to be death? Unless, and who wants nothing more than to bring down the evil to avenge what was done to her and her sons. Who did she entrust to help her flee? JFK Jr. and Donald Trump. She knew they were good. They knew she was good. The plan started after JFK was assassinated for starting to take down the Dark Cabal. Donald and JFK Jr. were a huge part of that plan. And so was the good and beautiful Princess Diana, who...
It's like a fairy tale. The good and beautiful Princess Diana. Like, what does this have to do? You're not writing a goddamn children's book. Stop it.
Better to take down than the royals, but an insider, and an insider whose life was destroyed by the royals.
Andrew Patella says, hold on, if the royals are reptilians and Diana was forced to marry into the royal family, why haven't we heard any of that from Meghan Markle? I know, right? It doesn't make sense.
JFK Jr. and Donald knew the royals had to be destroyed as they were the figureheads of the crown, and the crown owned the United States. They knew.
We actually had a war over that. No, they don't.
We would never be freed unless the crown and the banking system was demolished.
Mike Max says, so you're telling me that a group of aliens were in control of a major government but somehow lost their control? So are they good at their jobs or not? Right? Doesn't make sense. It's always funny, too, that they talk about the banking systems, and unfortunately it tends to have, that is going to be thinly veiled anti-Semitism. I'm making a call on it with the banking thing. Which is funny because, like, the root cause of their thinking isn't wrong in the sense that the global system of, like, banking and capital as it exists currently, completely divorced from who runs it. This has nothing to do with anyone's religion or ethnicity or anything. I don't care anything about that. I'm strictly talking about how capital is controlled in the world. They're not wrong that there are issues with it, and it causes wealth disparity and all sorts of, like, favoritism and stuff. It's not good. But, like, why do they always make it an anti-Semitic thing? Why is it a racial thing? What the fuck? Not every banker is Jewish. It has nothing to do with being Jewish or Christian or anything else. It's just an economic issue. Princess Amelia says, been a while since I've heard any Princess Diana conspiracy. I see they've become considerably more unhinged over the past 20 years. Yep, that'll happen. Do we not have dog whistles on the bingo sheet? I feel like we should. Oh, that's basically a free space.
Diana was the perfect kingpin. In the summer of 1995, a secret meeting was arranged between Diana and JFK Jr., an arrangement was made, and her fake death was planned, and her place in the plan was established. The cover for details was plotted. Then in December 1995, 6 months later, she and Donald end up at a charity event together, and even coincidentally end up at the same table. Donald played...
That is a coincidence, yes. They're both wealthy people in high society. They're gonna rub elbows at some point. That's not shocking.
His part well, first flattering her, then going on and on about her in a less flattering way, but that was important as it kept all suspicion at bay. After her divorce was finalized, a handwritten letter was sent to Donald from Diana. This was the go-ahead. The plan and cover began to unfold.
Again, you're just reading fan fiction. Why do you think any of this is true? Mike Max says, the royal family are werewolves, not reptiles. You want to know how I know? Simply do your own research, sheeple. I've seen that documentary about that doctor fellow in his box. I've seen that.
And she died almost exactly 1 year from her divorce. And she died exactly 2 years from meeting JFK Jr., and JFK Jr. died exactly...
JFK Jr. looks a lot like Ted Danson in this photo. Like 1980s Ted Danson. You know what I mean? I was gonna say hot Ted Danson, but actually... I think Ted Danson in The Good Place is really attractive. Like his whole vibe and his outfits. Is that just me? No? Okay. Morok says, incoherent screaming. This is nuts. Like, what the fuck? Like, look at that. Look at this man. Tell me that's not attractive? Tellurian Katrin says, all these fake death conspiracies sound like wishful thinking to me in a similar vein to the belief in heaven. I guess it's not all that surprising that Q people are weirdly Christian mystical. Yeah. By the way, if you haven't seen The Good Place, check it out. I think it's on Netflix. Watch it. Don't spoil yourself. Don't Google anything about it. Just go watch The Good Place, okay? Trust me. Kippy says we could benefit from one day having a whole discussion and learning day about anti-Semitism in history because people are really not aware of most of it these days. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Exactly. Almost to the date, 2 years after Diana. No coincidence. There's no way that Diana and JFK Jr. would be able to execute their plan alive. There wasn't any choice, and their lives were in danger. So 3 short weeks before Diana's death entered Dodi. Just 3 weeks was the extent of their relationship. He was the cover, and he was also the connection to the good side of the House of Saud. Think Godfather 3. His grandfather was the doctor of King Salman. JFK Jr. and Donald knew that there were 2 sides to the House of Saud, and they knew that the good side, Salman, wanted to break free from the bad side, Mob Prince Alweed side. The bad side of the House of Saud was funding most of the corruption, and they were a big part of the funding to the crown. Donald and JFK Jr. arranged with them.
I shouldn't have to say this, but nobody spoil any Good Place stuff in chat for anyone who hasn't seen it. It's an amazing show, and I don't want anyone to have anything ruined for them. Just watch the show.
Through Dodi, that if they...
Yeah, did she cite Godfather 3? Out of all the Godfather films to cite, you picked the worst one.
Good side of House of Saud kept Diana safe. They would free them from the bad side that had been running the show. Al-Walid. And by eliminating the bad side, you eliminate the funding to the Dark Cabal crown and free the Salman side of the evil mob. And in exchange for their freedom, Diana is kept safe and helps take down the royals with all her inside information. Now remember, Obama was groomed by the Alawid side, the Saudis. Before he came over to the United States, he was groomed by them. And
no! Be trippin'! No! Do not do the birther shit! Come on, are we still on this? For fuck's sake!
They paid for him to go to, was it Princeton or Harvard? It was Princeton. So there's...
I thought Obama went to Harvard. Obama degree. Yeah, he got his law degree from Harvard, and he got his he got his bachelor's from Columbia.
That connection. So they are part of trying to take this country down, the bad side of the House of Saud. And okay, this is Q Post 134, dated November 11th, 2000.
Q claimed as a source on the bingo card. She's literally just citing a Q post, so you can't get more Q claimed as a source than that. You bet $1 it's because he's black. I'd bet $1 million it's because he's black.
2017. This post came out at the beginning of the Q post in November. I mean, it really started to late October, but this is pretty new. It says, why were the events in Saudi Arabia extraordinary? Who was arrested? What will bank records provide? Lists names, family history, investment, ownership, stakes, and point-to-point contacts. Example, Alawid, Huma, Barack Obama, Citigroup, U.S. control. Why?
By the way, if you've never seen a Q post before, this is what they all look like. So if you think the Q posts are like really coherent and say clear messages, they don't. They say stuff like this. Why were the events in Saudi Arabia extraordinary? Who was arrested? What will bank records provide? List names, family history, investments, ownership, stakes, and point-to-point contacts. Alawid, Huma, Bo, Citigroup, U.S. control. Why is it relevant? House of Saud, U.S. control. This is what basically all the Q posts look like, and there are thousands of them. I would argue, and this is brilliant, by the way, it's evil, but it's brilliant. I don't know who concocted Q originally, though it's thought pretty clearly at some point Ron and Jim Watkins stepped in when it moved over to 8chan, but prior to that, we don't necessarily know who it was. whoever concocted this is a fucking genius in terms of understanding conspiracy thinking, because a lot of people come out with conspiracy theories that are exactly spelled out, and they'll say, like, this is what I think is happening, this is that, and that'll get some people on board if it's interesting enough, right? But if you want to create a super conspiracy theory, if you want to create the pandemic of conspiracy theories, if you will, what you do is you ask questions to conspiracy theorists like this, vaguely, and let them argue amongst themselves and fill in the blanks. Then you get the bakers. These are called crumbs, right? The Q posts have crumbs in them, and then in the Q community, there are people called bakers, who are basically Q grifters who look at the Q posts and try and come up with answers to these questions, which develops the general Q narrative, right? It becomes a communal activity for people in the Q community to try and decipher the Q posts, right? And that makes it more interesting than just listening to someone tell you exactly what the conspiracy is, although a lot of people at the, bottom of the pyramid in the Q community absolutely do that and discuss it amongst themselves. Like, the mid-level Q people are active participants in developing the narrative, and that's what made it so virulent. This is why it's become like the #1 conspiracy on the planet, because anyone can look at these posts and read their personal conspiracy theory into this. It's brilliant. It's maniacal, and it's evil, and it's terrible, but it's fucking brilliant. I'm not trying to give kudos to bad people here. I'm really not. It's terrible. It's one of the worst things that's happened to, like, the public consciousness, and I don't even know how long, maybe since the Cold War, but, like, you gotta look at it and go, someone had a really, really brilliant strategy here. It's just evil. Princess Amelia says it's exactly what Nostradamus did. Yeah. Did I watch the HBO Q miniseries? Made it clear how much of a loser Watkins is. I watched part of it. I still gotta finish it. I don't know. I like the documentary, but there was just something off about it. I wish they'd gotten more into, like, what QAnon people believe and why, and it wasn't really about that. I don't know. Mike Max says, 10 more days until all of you Satanists are arrested. It's always 10 days. That's the fun part. Pulp Free Fiction says, Q is an ARG-type storytelling applied to real conspiracy theorists. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Is this relevant? House of Sod. House of Sod, U.S. control. Follow the money. What power shift recently occurred? Was a new king appointed? Coincidence? Dark to light? Why is this relevant? One side of the triangle removed. First time in history. Other sides falling. And then there's plus, 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 and then plus, plus, and then plus. So these are all representing some of the members of the Q team. Like Q plus is considered to be Donald Trump, for example. So the other two I'm not sure of. But this is just showing you at the very beginning of all these Q posts that they took down one side of the House of Sod so that because it was connected, it was the evil side, and it was funding Barack Obama, it was funding the, the royal family, follow the money, it just, it was a huge part. They couldn't move forward until they took down that part of the House of Sod. And so what was left was the good side. And I think that was the first.
So, okay, guys, Saudi Arabia's totes good now. Don't worry about their human rights abuses. It's cool.
Thing they needed to do to move forward in the
Donald Trump helped take out the evil ones.
In the Alliance's White Hat's plan. So, the good side of the House of Sod needed Diana's knowledge of the royal connections to take down the bad side of the House of Sod, who was connected to the crown and funding the royals and the corruption. Remember, in the very beginning of the Q drops, the Saudi Arabia takedown was so important because it cut the funding ties to all the corruption. They had to be the first to go without their ties being cut. Nothing else could have happened. Their funding cut, but put a big squash in the royals' funding, making them weak and neutralizing their power. Princess Diana went to JFK Jr. for advice. She met him in New York City to talk. JFK Jr. faked his death, so did she. They had 2 cars alike. She wasn't in the car they thought she was in. She went through the same scenario as JFK Jr. That car was sabotaged to crash in the tunnel, and thus she fooled her murderers.
Again, how? You're telling fan fiction, but you need to explain how. This reminds me of that movie, I think it's called, like, Now You See It, or something, which is a brilliant premise for a movie, executed incredibly poorly, and the premise is, like, magicians rob a bank using their magician skills. Like, oh, that's a cool setup, like, you could do some interesting things with that. But what the movie does is it doesn't actually explain how they're doing the tricks, and the tricks aren't realistic. It's just like they're doing actual magic. Like, it doesn't, like, none of the tricks are plausible in any way, shape, or form. It basically just looks like they're doing magic and they never explain it. Same thing here. You can say all you want, oh, she faked her death and tricked everyone. Alright, that's a claim. How are you claiming she did this? Like, that's... Did she have a body double? Did they build, like, a fake meat Diana that the coroner would identify? How did this work? Where did she go? Who were her accomplices? Like, you can't just make these claims. It's the same thing. It's like you're trying to perform actual magic as opposed to showing how the trick is done. JFK Jr. and Diana are alive, but in the TVA.
It was sabotaged, but made them believe she was in there. She's a very wise woman, just like JFK Jr. People mainly believe what the media says. Prince Harry joined her. They will all see the military tribunals at Guantanamo Bay and worldwide, and Diana and JFK Jr. will come out of hiding to complete and celebrate with us when Jasara comes out this summer of 2020. Well, it's going to be 2021.
I like, even in the fan fiction article, it's like, this is going to happen in the summer of 2020, because the article was clearly written before that. And she's got to, on the fly, be like, well, now it'll be in 2021. Sure it will. Is it going to be 2022 now? Because we're over halfway done with the year. Just checking. Morok says, I've watched the documentary Full Metal Alchemist. I know you can use alchemy to create cadavers with the proper dental records to fake someone's death.
She also, the last president, what a 127-year-old book reveals about Donald Trump, time travel, and Nikola Tesla. All right. This is a tweet. I was chatting to a lady on one of the lockdown protests, and she was telling me her French friend attended the crash scene, and Diana was walking to the ambulance with a suspected broken collarbone. Both JFK Jr. and Diana to wake up the world.
So she's citing a Twitter post where a lady... Okay, let's see how many degrees of separation is this. Okay. This person on Rumble is reading a tweet of a woman who claims she met a person at a rally who had a friend who attended who claims she saw Diana. A friend of a friend of a friend, someone I know who knows someone who knows someone, said they saw Diana walk away from the crash. Did they listen to themselves? Are they this dumb? You know, I heard a person post that another person heard another person's friend. This isn't how this works. Lily Love Stuff says, wait, wasn't Obama to Cronaut who worked on time travel base on Mars as a kid with Anthony Basiago? Is this a reference to something I don't get?
Very interesting. And there's a...
Mike Mack says, I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate. Well, what does that make us? Nothing!
few more articles, I guess, posted here that are related.
Yeah, this is actually funny. So Disney was working on a ride called like Superstar Limo, and it was going to be very similar to their Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster at MGM Studios. The premise was going to be it's an indoor roller coaster ride where you get into a limo. That's really, it's a car for a roller coaster, but it's styled to look like a limo. And it was going to be, you're being chased by the paparazzi, and the limo is, going through a roller coaster, and it looks like Hollywood and stuff. And then Princess Diana died in very similar circumstances. So they had to completely rework the ride, and they turned it into an awful, boring, dark ride where you just are in a slow moving limo thing and looking at really bad animatronics. I don't even know if I want to call them animatronics. They're basically figures that move sort of like this. And there are people like Jim Carrey and Whoopi Goldberg and basically anyone Disney had under contract at the time. It was a terrible ride. Michael Eisner greenlit it. Fuck Michael Eisner. And then it got gutted. I believe they turned it into a Muppets ride for a while, and I think currently it's been changed into a Monsters, Inc. ride. Still a dark ride, but I'm not sure.
About the plan,
That is, they did make a Defunct Land episode about it. 74 Quinn 74 says, is this the one with the Trump animatronic that was made from the Hillary animatronic? No, that's the Hall of Presidents.
Other sites that have written about it.
I need to learn about Anthony Basiago. Seattle attorney Andrew Basiago claims U.S. sent him on time travels. Okay, we're going to need to read that later.
Greatest plan in the world. So, when the military tribunals start, they will...
Oh yeah, the Monsters, Inc. ride just put stuff over the figures. Hold on. Superstar Limo... Monsters, Inc. Let me see if I can show you. So, they didn't want to put a bunch of money into developing the Monsters, Inc. ride, so they literally just took the figures from Superstar Limo and, like, put shit over them, so they turned, like, the Jim Carrey figure into one of these things. Mike Mack says, that lady looks young for 60-year-old woman living undercover. And Jeff Millard says, I remember Andy Basiago, anti-2016. There's more of them, too, but you get it. They just switch stuff over. Surprised there's not more comparison pictures. It's an interesting thing they did.
Be testifying at these tribunals, and then that they will be able to come out and tell the world about what happened. And I think...
Did I say Jim Carrey? I meant Drew Carey, sorry.
It's gonna wake a lot of people up. It's fascinating. So anyway, there you go. So we'll have to hope and wait and see. I always say this about people who don't believe conspiracy theories and things. It doesn't mean you believe completely, but you can have an open mind to these things.
Having an open mind is fine, but if someone makes unfounded, extraordinary claims such as these, even an open-minded person, it's reasonable to say, I don't believe that because you haven't provided evidence for your claims. And you haven't. You've just made claims. Killjoy says, if your mind is so open your brain falls out, it's a problem. Yeah.
You don't know for sure because you've never seen them, How could you? But, don't have such a closed mind that you don't believe anything's possible. Keep it open, Maybe it's true. And then, if you have an open mind to things, then more and more evidence comes to you about it. And it gives it, or that doesn't, you know what I mean? That's why I have an open mind to lots and lots of different things, Some things I find, you know, well, after a time, I don't believe them. Sometimes I believe these. Now, I've seen a lot of evidence about this because Field McConnell even talked about John being alive, and you know how they discovered that his plane had been sabotaged and everything. I mean, there's just way too much evidence.
What evidence?
That he's alive and that that he faked his death. So I'm not surprised about Diana, especially if she knew that she was in danger and she knew that they were like hybrid reptilians. That's what she must have seen them. And here's what I've heard about the whole hybrid thing with these people is they can keep, if they, that's why they drink blood and consume children and stuff. It's to keep their human form.
I think Queen Elizabeth is doing a bad job then.
But if
and so was what's-his-face that died recently. What was his name? The older one that died, he was like 90-something. Philip. Yeah, I don't think he was doing a very good job hiding the lizardness. I guess he wasn't eating enough children. I can make fun of him. It's okay. He's dead.
But when they're sleeping, I think it is, then when they're sleeping that their guard is down and some of those features come out. And she probably saw that. That's
You can make fun of dead royals. I'm American. It's basically our culture.
what I'm guessing. So an interesting article, to say the least. And we'll wait and see. And I'm very excited if they do come out and, you know, reveal to the world that they're alive. That would be so, so great. All right, thanks for listening.
Oh, no. Well, I should put together a montage. The real Satanist is Paul Rudd? Sure. Wait, are we supposed to look at this and go like, oh, Vlad the Impaler is the same person? Oh god, why am I blanking on his name now? Shit. Other royal guy who's an asshole. Most of them are assholes. But you know, this one specifically. Charles, thank you. Is he next in line of succession? When the Queen kicks it, is this motherfucker gonna be the King of England? Oh, that's fucking lame. We might take a break from Peter today. We've done a lot of Peter. Again, capitalists being capitalists is not a conspiracy theory. It's just a bad system. So that's her video on that. But good news, everyone! She has a video on how Michael Jackson and Elvis are also alive and working for Trump, too. So we get to watch that now. I'm skipping over the long intro, though. We don't need to watch that twice. Sorry, loud. God, she needs to get her audio mix under control. This one's shorter, though. This is a shorter video than her previous one.
Hey, Patriots.
Did we get 4chan, 8chan? I saw the words, at least. No, she didn't cite those, I don't think.
So there's a lot of buzz going around that...
No, you cannot mark vampires because of Vlad. Vlad the Impaler is not implicitly a vampire.
Some people that we thought were dead are still alive. And I found 3...
Logarth Bonk. Bad.
Videos of a possibility for Michael Jackson, Princess Di...
Michael Jackson and Trump might actually get along. They both like underage people.
And Elvis.
Are we gonna start the Michael Jackson debate in chat? Chat. Here's a poll. Let's do this. We're just going there. This is a conversation that no one likes to have, but we're gonna do it. Did Jackson do it? And you know what it is. Alright, answer this poll. Let's see where chat sits. I'm gonna vote. It's anonymous, so...
I'm gonna show you what I've got. First one here is Michael Jackson. He actually created a Telegram channel. And the only reason I know about it is because Ghost Ezra, who we think is Ezra Cohen Watnick, is pointed it out.
Lily Love Stuff says, of course Elvis helped Michael fake his death. That's his son-in-law. I think ex-son-in-law at the time of his death. They weren't still married, I don't think.
And a lot of people voice...
Princess Amelia says, I waive my right to anonymity. I voted yes. I'll talk about my opinion once the poll's over.
I'm suspicious of this, but I'm going to show you what...
Kevin Sorbo is Karen Sorbo. What did he do now? I'm not proud of this, but I just made a scene in public for the first time in my life. I walked into Starbucks and they asked me to put a mask on. I yelled, this is BS. I turned around and walked out. I know what you're thinking. My first mistake was walking into a Starbucks. Kevin Sorbo was turning into a Kevin Sorbo character from a bad Christian film.
What's posted here, you can make up your mind.
Yeah, Ghost Ezra, who she's citing, is the guy that's too out there, even for Peter, and he's a huge, open, anti-Semite. He posts literal World War II Nazi propaganda on his page. His page, which has like 300,000 subscribers, I might add.
This letter was...
When did Peter turn against Ghost Ezra? A month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. It was something about failed predictions or something.
Posted on his Telegram site. Statement by MJ Innocent. Globalists say either serve us or die. If you stand against them, you will be assassinated. Assassination is not just killing. Assassination is the destruction of one's artistic reputation. Globalists have existed since the 16th century. Globalists want slavery. The first person to fight the globalists was Abraham Lincoln, who was killed.
Profane Priestess says, I mean, he probably did it, right? Regardless, Jackson was sketchy as fuck, and we should always err on the side of believing the victim. Charizia says, wasn't it the Flat Earth stuff? Oh, some of that was the Flat Earth stuff, I think, too. And H. Baird said, I prefer better than Ghost Ezra, currently searching for signs of life, but there's nobody home. Yeah, I'm old. Daddy Sume says, okay, so here's my opinion on it. Michael was put on a drug that disrupted puberty when he was young to prevent his voice from cracking and to keep him from having signs of puberty. This is shown to have very long-term problems for development. I honestly don't know if he did it, but he did do things that were wildly inappropriate, like sleeping in the same room as children or having them at his ranch without parents. I think he probably did, but I can't really say if he did or not. All right, the poll is over. Yes won. I don't know came in second with 32% of the vote, and no came in at 16%. Interesting distribution. This is just my personal opinion. You know, I wasn't there, obviously. But I think Jackson did it. I think he did it. I always find it interesting when people defend Michael Jackson, because if literally anyone else, if anyone who didn't make Thriller had done a tenth of the things Michael Jackson did, there would be no question. The public wouldn't question it at all. I've never seen a person, in my opinion, make a good faith argument that Jackson didn't do it. It always feels to me like people just really, really feel bad because, how do I put it? They feel bad because they like his music. Michael Jackson made amazing music, and you can still like his music if you want. That's fine. I'm not going to stop you. I try and avoid it, but let's be real. Thriller fucking slaps, as does a lot of his catalog. But I think he did it. I don't think he was doing it... How do I put it? This is going to sound bad no matter how I say it. I don't think he was doing it maliciously, not that that fucking matters. Abuse is abuse. But I think he was abused a lot as a kid. I don't think he developed correctly. I think he had a lot of issues. And for some reason, he felt very connected to kids. Which led him to do some really, 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 really terrible things that are not okay. That doesn't justify it. I'm just saying there's a reason, but I think he did it, and it's still wrong. Mike Mack says, y'all be ignorant. Don't be ignorant. Hee hee. It almost feels like when a kid does that to other kids, but he isn't a kid. Yeah. That's actually a good way of describing it. I do think he probably very internally had the mind of an immature person. He probably had a severe case of arrested development. But it doesn't matter. He's an adult. You can't, you fucker. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, we don't need to make this a whole thing. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit.
John F. Kennedy was the second fighter. They tried hard to kill him. He was forced to... Can't read that very well.
Arrested development doesn't give you the right to boink kids. I completely agree. It's fucked up. There should have been intervention much earlier. But money and fame mean you can do whatever you want.
Die a fake death. I was the third fighter. They slandered me. I'm innocent. History will judge. And now he was judged. And I was forced to die a fake death.
Oh, someone is claiming that this is a message from Michael Jackson, who is secretly still alive. Oh no. And he's talking about globalists.
He is the fourth presidential candidate. He still stands strong, but it must be supported by the people. Do not lose your faith. The path of struggle is hard and long, and God is with us. People should not be deceived.
There's a difference between an excuse and an explanation. Michael Jackson's upbringing is in the explain camp. I agree.
People should not lose their faith. People should not be fooled by the false...
You don't think Michael would be anti-Semitic? I don't either.
Vaccine.
Plus, he was in the music industry. Like there's a lot of, like, Jewish individuals in the music industry, in the production side, and I don't think he was anti-Semitic. It wasn't the Illuminati, it was the South Park Police Department. God, that's an old reference. How old is that episode now? Wow.
Q has said everything. Q is not a newspaper. Q is sacred. Look at it with faith. I also have another picture of Michael Jackson with Ivanka when she and Eric when they were young. And it was, they were visiting, I guess.
That explains a lot about Eric. That's a terrible joke. I shouldn't have made that joke. That's not okay. I'm sorry.
So, Michael Jackson's known Donald Trump for a while. I mean, a long while. So, very interesting.
Yeah! Oh, God. Sorry, that's really loud.
The tradition of
Hannah canceled. Yeah, that was gonna happen sooner or later.
Great performers from, and I really want you to hear what I have to say. The tradition of great performers from Sammy Davis Jr. to James Brown to Jackie Wilson to Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly.
Are they just gonna cheer every time you mention someone?
The story is usually the same though, you know, these guys work really hard at their craft, but the story ends the same. They usually are broken, torn, and usually just sad, and the story is very sad in the end. Sony, being the artist that I am, at Sony, I've generated several $billion for Sony. Several billion. And they really thought that my mind is always on music and dancing, and it usually is, but they never thought that this performer, myself, would outthink them.
Yeah!
So I'm leaving Sony a free agent, owning half of Sony. So I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just did good business, you know.
Shut up!
And
He's just shit talking Sony. I get it.
Terminated.
Hydrate. Okay, it's people in a choir. If I'm Princess Diana, that's exactly what I do. I go to my own funeral, and I dress in black, ironically, and I hide behind objects like that, and I peek between them. It doesn't even look like her. Oh, it's Kate and William's wedding? That's my bad. Wow, she got younger over the course of, like, 30 years. That's cool. Not even 30. 20, whatever, 15. Mike Max says, good thing Macaulay Culkin isn't mentioned by her. Yeah.
I'm no longer under the power of the law. I'm no longer under the power of the law. But now I'm under the power of the grace of God that raised Jesus from the dead. I'm no longer...
She thinks this guy is Elvis Presley?
Walking in the old self and the old flesh and the world and the things that I used to walk in this life in sin, having dominion over me. Now that I've been raised from the dead, transformation's taking place. Like we're a butterfly, you know, a caterpillar that turned into a butterfly.
It's clearly not the same person. Their teeth are different. Their faces are... What?
You know, caterpillar was in the cocoon, wrapped himself up. And you had a new birth and came out as a beautiful butterfly, flew away. He rose up and took those rags. Ran! I get everything. No matter how much.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So, in summary, no, Princess Diana's dead, Michael Jackson is dead, JFK Jr. is dead. Sorry. Not sorry for the Michael Jackson one. I mean, that's probably for the best. Princess Amelia says, well, her evidence has convinced me Princess Diana, Michael Jackson, and Elvis are definitely all dead. And Mike Max says, how hard is it for people to accept that humans can look the same and sound the same? They don't even look that much the same, you know? But that's my opinion. Let's check the bingo card. Is there anything else that we missed? We have QAnon claimed as a source. Hannah mentions cheese hot pockets, satanic, thinly veiled anti-Semitism, reptoids. My research said not by a researcher. Did I miss anything? I did not die laughing. Okay. Let's watch something about Gene Simmons and flat earthers.
Gene Simmons of Kiss, a man that's been around for a very long time. Kiss forming in 1973, almost 50 years. And Gene Simmons is still making the mainstream media with all the so-called hot topics. Of course, being a sellout, keeping that position as far as beating the drum for those that...
This is not Call for an Uprising now. We're not doing Call today. This is RV Truth.
Run this world, those that own and control the music industry, just like they control every other industry as far as entertainment, politics. They control the whole entire matrix.
Okay, I'm gonna call thinly veiled anti-Semitism on that one. Oh, we already had it. If not, that would have been it too.
Now let's take a look here from Gene Simmons' Twitter account. And this is a question directed at Gene Simmons on his Twitter page. Back in the day, people at my school said KISS is an acronym for Knights in Satan's Service. I'm guessing that's not true at all. And here is Gene Simmons' response. Have you perhaps entertained the notion that they might have been future members of the Flat Earth Society? And of course, mocking the Flat Earth truth, but one thing should be...
People usually use Flat Earth as a shorthand for people who believe very silly things, because it is quite evident to the rest of us that the Earth is not flat, yes.
Mentioned Flat Earth Society is a disinfo organization. They are controlled opposition. So Gene Simmons is talking about Flat Earth, which is a very hot topic since 2015. And this is one of many posts, and many times he's brought up Flat Earth. Again, it's all about mocking the truth. Keep people away from the truth. And of course, those that run Hollywood and the music industry, of course, no, they're puppets. Their hired help have a huge influence, a huge impact on their fan base. And this is exactly why you have these control puppets in place to control the minds and thoughts of the masses. And another post by Gene Simmons on Twitter regarding the Flat Earth with this fake news story from Yahoo News with this supposed farm.
It's not fake news, I remember this. This guy destroyed a bunch of vaccine doses because he's a conspiracy theorist, and he also turned out to be a flat earther.
Pharmacist sabotaging, I'll just call it the jab. And Gene Simmons says, of course, this moron believes the earth is flat. And again, this is just more mockery from Gene Simmons.
Imagine of all the people to care who's mocking flat earth, he cares about Gene Simmons, who hasn't been relevant in decades. Like, who cares what Gene Simmons thinks of you? I didn't even know he was still alive. There are like 3 good Kiss songs. The rest are bad. Who cares what Gene Simmons thinks?
And here is the news story from Yahoo News. As you can see here in the title, Brandenburg is a flat earth.
For the record, their cover of God Gave Rock and Roll to You, Beth, and Detroit Rock City. I will not be answering any further questions. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Their FBI docs or reveals. Give me a break. And yet again, another post by Gene Simmons pushing the jab and mocking the flat earth truth. Just got our second jab shots, feeling no after effect. Please take the jab to protect others and yourself and ignore conspiracy.
You said Rock and Roll All Night too, Hannah? I've changed my mind. I don't like that song anymore. Cleanse. Here's the... What is this one? Lobster mac and cheese sausage? Nice. There's one good part of Rock and Roll All Night. And it's the chorus. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. That's the only good part of the song. I don't like the rest of the song. I like that section of the song. So I don't think that's a good song.
Lunatics, the earth is not flat. The earth is actually round. And I find it so interesting that they're combining the two. One huge lie, and of course, which they're pushing, the jab, and the flat earth truth, and they're combining these two. Just like in this video clip from Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones. Let's take a look.
Like the rest is just like, time for a while, and I like your style. And drive you wild, you drive us crazy. Like, I don't like that. You gotta skip that part.
As well when it comes to the jab. It's Flat Simmons. And this controlled artist for many years, just like Gene Simmons, Mick Jagger. And obviously this is all about having this debate. The flat earth is obviously the truth, and they want the divide as well when it comes to the jab itself. And just recently with Gene Simmons regarding his shows, his concerts, don't come to our shows if you're not jabbed and think the earth is flat. So this is an ongoing, continuous theme with Gene Simmons, obviously. And obviously as well, he has handlers, and this is not by his own doing.
At this point, I don't know if he does have handlers. Plus, his reputation's already shit. He cheated on his wife a ton. He's an asshole. Like, who cares? But yeah, you shouldn't go to concerts if you're not vaccinated. Get vaccinated, you dumb asshole.
And this is about pushing, of course, the divide. The two major divides right now, obviously, is the jab and the flat earth truth. Now,
half right. Unfortunately, idiots politicized medicine, so now we have to deal with, like, half the population refusing to take medicine. So that's great, but most people don't give a shit about the flat earth nonsense. That is not a large cultural talking point. It's just not.
Let's take a listen to Gene Simmons in his own words in this interview.
Of these United States, Obama, Bush, and Clinton are all going to be taken on the same day just to prove to people, no, this is legitimate.
Right.
Because they're deniers. There's the Flat Earth Society.
The Flat Earth Society mentioned again. So again, like I said earlier, the ongoing theme is nonstop and definitely, like I said earlier, on task.
Is this guy literally just searching out, like, Gene Simmons material because he's butthurt that Gene Simmons made fun of Flat Earth on Twitter? Did he sit and listen to this interview with Gene Simmons specifically because he's mad at him?
You know, the aliens ate my dog's homework and everything you can imagine. People who don't believe in masks or hoax, and, you know, believe what you want.
Yeah.
But don't hang out around me, okay? If you're
At least Gene Simmons isn't into conspiracy theories. I can respect that, even if I don't like him as a person.
Don't hang around with me like you hang around with any of your fans. Give me a break. Now, with everything that Gene Simmons stated recently over the last year, up until that last interview back in June, now take a listen to what he says here. This goes back to December 4th, 2016. And Gene Simmons totally contradicts himself with his standpoint from 2016 to now. Take a close listen to what Gene Simmons says here, and he should definitely take his own advice.
I think celebrities should basically shut their pie hole and do what they do best. Act, sing, tap dance, juggle balls, and do all that kind of stuff.
The irony of him saying that on Fox News in 2016, it's kind of palpable, isn't it? Considering who Fox News was supporting for the presidency. Mike Mack says conspiracy theorists, the Illuminati want to depopulate the human race with vaccines. When you think about it, they tight because the anti-vaxxers are the one dying. Oh, I assume you mean might. They might.
And again, Gene Simmons should take his own advice. And people have such a short attention span. They might have heard this interview from several years ago, and they're just going to ignore it. And Gene Simmons is going to, of course, ignore it as well and give this nonsense advice.
I find that incredibly hypocritical, too. Gene Simmons, a celebrity known for his music, went on Fox News to share his opinion that's only being shared because he's a celebrity, and his opinion is celebrities should shut up. Except for him, I guess, because he came on Fox News to talk. Rather, Fox Business, sorry.
Of the jab itself. And of course, ridiculing, mocking the truth of the flat earth. And in this very old interview, Gene Simmons was asked about the technique of spitting fire, throwing fire through his mouth, as you can see here in this one concert.
Oh, is there an anti-vaxxer in chat? Get vaccinated, you dumb asshole.
And this, of course, represents the...
And I frankly don't care if you're a nurse. There are a lot of really stupid nurses out there who think they know better than they do because they administer shit to people and they're around doctors and it makes them think that they're as smart as doctors when they're fucking not. Shut the fuck up and go clean a bedpan and give people their vaccine and go get a vaccine. Jesus Christ, you people.
Dragon, the fire-breathing dragon, specifically the great serpent, the dragon that was thrown to earth from heaven. And in this, again, old interview, Gene Simmons mentions learning the technique from a magician. And take a listen to what he says here on the oath. And this is very key, very important.
Whose name I won't divulge, who taught me this under a secret oath, but I really don't want to tell you how to do it because...
He's talking about taking an oath. This is very key, very important with all these people that are anti-God, anti-Bible. And of course, it's all about Masonry, which is nothing more than Satanism in disguise.
Freemasonry on the bingo card.
States
yes, Gene Simmons is Jewish.
Here in this one placard, I took an oath, and it has no expiration date. Of course, you see the square and the compass, the all-seeing eye, and when it comes down...
Am I sure this isn't call? I'm sure.
Down to, they're mocking the Bible from James 5:12, states here, but most of all, my brothers and sisters, never take an oath by heaven or earth or anything else. Just say a simple yes or no. So
Venomous Snake says, telling me to get vaccinated, LOL, just try to give it to me if you feel so inclined. We'll see what happens. No one is trying to force you. No one is going to literally hold you down and vaccinate you. We are publicly shaming you for being a germ factory and a scientific illiterate. You are hurting yourself and your patients, and I don't think you should be allowed in a hospital if you're this ignorant and refusing medicine. Killjoy says, just so chat knows, spitting fire involves having a small amount of alcohol in your mouth and spit through the flames. It's not as cool as it seems when you're at a concert.
So that you will not sin and be condemned. So again,
it's not medicine, it's gene therapy. It's really not, though, and the fact that you think that tells me you don't know what you're talking about. Baha, my girlfriend here in chat, she's a PhD candidate, 5th year, in developmental genetics, so she can tell you that's bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about. You do not know what you're talking about. I'm glad you went to nursing school. I'm sure you know all the nursing stuff, but you're not a doctor, and you're not a virologist. You don't know what you're talking about. You are harming people. You are actively hurting people, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Gene Simmons playing the demon, as you can see here, and here as well. Do you expect truth out of this man? Absolutely not. People need to obviously catch on. His millions upon millions of fans, followers. He's doing the devil's work by passing off the jab as something good and obviously concealing the flat earth truth, which leads to the creator. And every little aspect, every little thing they do, there's a reason behind it. There's a backstory with, of course, Gene Simmons.
Yeah, you can get on voice chat, Baha. Get on Discord. You can have a little chat with, either call me or go into the waiting room. Yeah, we're probably going to get a Baja Blasts here in a sec. Let me know when you're in there. keep on shouting, you keep on shouting. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. Didn't an anti-vax nurse die yesterday in the U.S.? Yeah. Hello, lovely. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Go ahead and tell us all about the vaccine or whatever you'd like to say.
Okay. So let's start off with the fact that I highly doubt that this person is actually a nurse. I think that they are a child.
Possibly, but
that's just my opinion.
Sure, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they are a nurse just because they might be.
Okay. So, I'm going to talk right to Venomous Snake, which is who I think is the anti-vaxxer.
Correct.
So, where in the absolute fuck did you hear that the vaccine is gene therapy? I would like a source in chat, and I would like it now. Because genes, if you didn't know, are DNA, and they're stored in the nucleus of our cells. Every single cell has it. It's separated from the cytoplasm by the nuclear wall. Nothing can get in or out of the nucleus unless there is a specific signal marker on it. So RNA, which is transcribed from DNA, can leave the nucleus, but it cannot enter the nucleus. So when you get an mRNA vaccine, what happens is you have the mRNA, which is a combination of a bunch of different nucleotides, similar to DNA, but it's single-stranded, and there's uracil instead of thymine as the fourth nucleic acid. There can be, different nucleotides in RNA, but that's normally in things that are not mammals. So, you have this little vial of vaccine that is mRNA, and it's surrounded by a lipid layer so that it can bind to your cells and enter the cell. So then it goes into the cytoplasm, which is the, watery portion of the cell that all the organelles are in, like the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, the ribosomes. So speaking of ribosomes are responsible for translating the RNA into a protein. So the central dogma of biology, which you should have learned in freshman high school biology, is DNA to RNA to protein. So unless you are very, 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 very old, to the point where you probably can retire at this point if you wanted to, we know for a fact that it goes DNA, RNA, protein. The DNA gets transcribed into RNA via a whole host of transcription machinery, which I can get into since I am indeed a fifth-year PhD candidate in genetics and genomic sciences, focusing specifically in reproduction and developmental science. So I personally study embryos and embryology and how the genes that are transcribed in the early embryo, meaning pre-implantation, so before it's even in the uterus, how those genes begin to be transcribed and what they do in the embryo. So, going back to our little journey of DNA to RNA to protein. You have the DNA, it gets transcribed by a bunch of machinery, which is about 20 different proteins that all bind together at the promoter of the gene. That allows for the, actual transcription to occur. So adding of nucleotides, and you get this single-stranded mRNA, which then is small enough to leave the nuclear envelope and get translated. So you have 2 halves of a ribosome, and what that does is it kind of clamps down onto the mRNA, and it feeds the mRNA through and reads it, kind of like a belt on a typewriter. I'm sure you've used a typewriter before. The belt moves as you type so that you can have, ink. So as the mRNA feeds through the ribosome, tRNA, which is transfer RNA, which is completely different than mRNA, which is an RNA sequence that has an amino acid attached to it, which is a building block of a protein. So as the ribosome is feeding the mRNA through, it's reading it, and it sees, okay, I have this set of nucleotides. That means that I need a tRNA that has this amino acid on it. And once that tRNA fits into the ribosome, it gets attached. And then you just keep doing that. And it just keeps feeding it through until it's read the entire sequence, and you have a bunch of amino acids, and then that gets sent to the endoplasmic reticulum and packaged into an actual protein. So it undergoes a conformational change so that it's in the correct shape to interact with what it's supposed to interact with. So, how does this relate to our COVID vaccine? Basically, that is it's a huge technological advancement. Has nothing to do with gene therapy. There is no CRISPR. There is no, there is no editing of the genome occurring. So I know that, you might have heard of CRISPR, and it might be a little scary because CRISPR does use something called guide RNA, so gRNA. But that is completely different from mRNA. Like I said, certain things have to be present for things to be able to get into the nucleus. So the vaccine has mRNA, and it's specifically the mRNA that codes for the spike protein that's on the outside of the COVID virus. So this is a very specifically shaped spike protein. And normally what happens is the virus would enter your cell. This is outside of the vaccine. This is just how you get sick with the virus. The virus would enter your cell through some of your, membranes. Either you ate something that had the virus on it that wasn't cooked properly. You grabbed a door handle and touched your eye. Like any contact with a mucous membrane. I'm sure as a nurse, if you are a nurse, you understand that. You understand germ theory. You understand how people get sick. So the virus comes in, it attaches to your cell, and it enters. Specifically, with COVID-19, we know it takes advantage of a protein that is on the outside of the lungs, the kidneys, and the male reproductive tract, so the testes, which is ACE2, that's the protein. And basically, this virus evolved to fit very nicely on the ACE2 protein. And so it takes the place of what's supposed to bind to the ACE2 protein. And when the ACE2 protein is bound by something, it goes, oh, this must be my binding partner. This is great.
Don't ban venomous snake. We're still talking. Don't ban them.
Yeah.
Unban them. What are you doing?
Basically, it the ACE2 protein thinks, oh, this is my binding partner. It's okay. It fits properly. I can let whatever this is into the cell. And normally that is a signal of some kind, maybe like a hormone signal or a signal from another cell. In this case, it's the virus. The virus enters the cell. So then it's gotten in the cell and it wants to replicate as much of it as possible. And so it just keeps using your replication machinery to make more virus. Eventually, your immune cells, so your helper T cells, your B cells, all of the good immune cells, the white blood cells, come in.
You can keep going, but they left, just so you know.
Oh, I don't give a shit.
Okay.
This is for anyone.
Sure, I know. They weren't going to learn anything anyway.
leave.
I guarantee they weren't fucking listening because they don't want to hear educated information.
Oh, yeah, I don't care.
They just want to post bullshit.
So then, once there's a bunch of virus, it just starts going and invading other cells in your body so that it can keep making more. And eventually it encounters a immune cell, and that cell will be like, oh, this is bad. This is not us. It doesn't have any of the markers that say, hey, we're you, don't attack me. And so it's like, all right, we got to get down to business. And it will start attacking, and it will start breaking pieces off, and it will start trying to see if any other of the B cell friends around can bind to it. And then if there is a B cell that can bind to a piece of this virus, it just explodes. It starts replicating so fast so that you get a huge amount of antibodies being produced. And so then the antibodies can travel through your lymph system and attack the virus wherever it is. So if we have the vaccine, we have the mRNA entering your cell. It gets translated via your ribosomes. And there are a couple of things that can happen when the mRNA enters your body. So once the protein is made, it can either immediately be degraded, and small pieces of it might get up to the membrane of your cell and be able to be presented to an immune cell. So there is something called an MHC complex, which is it's basically the thing that presents foreign objects to your immune cells. It says, hey, this isn't us, this is really weird, can you tell me what this is and fuck it up, please? So it can get a little piece of the protein that was made from the mRNA can get presented on an MHC complex, which it's called something else in humans, but basically every other mammal, it's MHC. And then for the full protein could get presented on your cell, which then be recognized by a B cell as not self and killed, therefore training this B cell to keep attacking this spike protein. So eventually all of the cells that were presenting the mRNA derived spike protein will be killed, and mRNA degrades so quickly. That's part of the reason why the vaccine took so long, is finding a way to preserve the vaccine so that the mRNA did not degrade before you could get it. And that's why they expire so quickly. and why the Pfizer had to be kept at minus 80 degrees Celsius.
This is all a very good explanation, but I think it would be a better source if you said it all in Dutch. Can you take that back from the beginning, but in Dutch, please?
No.
Okay.
And so then so mRNA degrades very, 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 very quickly. Like, pretty much, I work with RNA all the time. I have to extract RNA from my samples so that we can see what genes are being transcribed. And if you accidentally leave the tube at room temperature for just a short amount of time, like 5-10 minutes, it starts degrading. And you'll have less and less and less mRNA. And the reason for that is there are RNases everywhere, which is basically a protein that tears apart RNA. And so we produce them. They're all over our skin. They're all over the air. They are produced by bacteria. And so they munch up RNA. And so if I'm working with a tube of RNA and I leave it sitting at room temp where it's already vulnerable, and somehow some RNases from like my skin or my hair or just the air in general, like if the air conditioner is on in the lab, some RNases could come through and munch on my RNA that I have in the tube. So, like, anyone that tells you that it's going to stick around in your body is absolutely dumb. It doesn't. The mRNA degrades like that, like, so quick. And then the protein, it only hangs around long enough to train the immune cells, because once there are enough immune cells built up, all of the cells that had the spike protein will be attacked and killed by the immune cells, which then get stored in your lymph nodes, and if you encounter that virus again, they come back out and are able to fight it. And that's why you get 2 doses of the vaccine. So the first initial one, the immune cells, there are like only a couple that get stored away because your body's like, I don't know if I'm going to encounter this again. So I'm not going to waste a ton of energy saving a bunch of cells that can recognize this virus. But then a month later, you get the second dose of the vaccine, which re-encourages those cells to replicate. And then your body is like, oh, I'm encountering this frequently. I should keep a store of these cells larger than what I thought. And so then you're good. And you might need to get a booster. We don't really know long term right now, but you might need to get a booster eventually, which just does the same thing. But yeah, so that's my Baja Blast. You can go ahead and mark that off on the bingo card if you have it. And yeah, so.
But wait, I saw a meme once that said Fauci bad, so I think I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. There's also a meme. There's also a meme going around about the creator of the PCR tests. So you should believe that one too, totally.
I appreciate your extensive knowledge, Baja. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have any, even though they're not here, do you have any final words for the anti-vaxxer that was here?
One second. I am reading a little summary. Okay, so Paladin Lost has a list of the biggest things you should convey to other people about the vaccine, and I agree with all of those points. So.
Okay.
Next episode, can we have more about the mRNA munchers? Maybe I'll just do a whole thing about RNases and how awful they are.
I'm telling you, if you started a science stream where you explain things, people would listen to it.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. I know you're busy all the time, but maybe eventually. I think that'd be cool. Your channel could just be Baja Blast, and you could just blast.
Morak Ben Eoth asks, I got J&J, should I get one of the other vaccines? No, it's not necessary. So basically the difference between the J&J vaccine is, and the mRNA vaccine is it's an adenovirus vaccine, which just means that they took the spike protein mRNA and put it into an adenovirus that is non-virulent, so it can't go into your body and start replicating. It doesn't have any of that code left. It was removed, and so they put in the gene that encodes for the spike protein of the COVID-19 virus. And so it's like this adenovirus is an imposter. It looks like the COVID-19 virus, and it's close enough that it trains your immune cells to go after the COVID-19 virus, but it's not, and it's not virulent.
Altered Rin asks, did you get
theoretically?
Oh, go ahead. I was just about to read that one.
Theoretically, if I got all the vaccines, would I be more protected? No. So the Pfizer and Moderna are so similar. You'd be getting the same thing. It would, at that point, it might be overextending your immune system. If you got all of the vaccines. Also, there's specific waiting periods that you're supposed to have before you get vaccines. Like, there are some that you don't want to do all at once. But yeah, also for anyone that hasn't gotten the vaccine yet, make sure that, unless you're told otherwise, don't pre-treat yourself before the vaccine for like a fever or whatever, because if you use like ibuprofen or acetaminophen, Advil, things like that, it can limit your immune response. Like I said, that's not medical advice. Talk to your doctor about it, but I know where I'm at, we've been told not to pre-medicate for the vaccine.
Okay. Good advice.
I'm laughing to death. Said my dad said he couldn't get the vaccine because all of the antibiotics he was given for a spider bite last year. I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, if his doctor told him not to get it, then he should listen to his doctor. But I can't immediately see what the harm would be. But yeah, his doctor probably has way more information about what antibiotics he was on, what type of spider bite it was. It might have been not antibiotics, it might have been antibodies, so it might have been an antibody therapy. I'm not sure if they use that for spider bites. but that could possibly affect it. But like I said, I don't know. Pulp Free Fiction, there hasn't been any statistically significant issues with your body's immune response if you use ibuprofen or acetaminophen or aspirin or things like that after you have received the vaccine. At least as far as I know, as far as I've seen the last time that I looked it up, which was back in April when I got my vaccine.
Stinky Boosh, thanks for resubscribing for 6 months. Mightiest Quinn, thanks for the raid earlier. H. Baird says Venomous Snake is about to get a letter from Sally Mae because they just got schooled, or Sally Mae. Mike Mack says, Cell at Work is a good anime to watch. It teaches how the body works. I recommend it. I think it's on Netflix. And Andrew Patella says, this is just to keep Baja talking longer. Weren't the vaccines rushed, so they're not safe? I know it's not how it works. They're just devil's advocating.
So, okay, Mr. Sir Knight Kingyo, I'm gonna answer this real quick. Someone I know got bit by a tick and can't eat meat. Apparently, she's allergic to one of the vaccines. So that can happen. It's the Lone Star tick, I believe, and it causes you to become allergic to red meat, and possibly, I don't know what vaccine she's allergic to, but it is possible that one of the vaccines has bovine serum albumin in it, which is basically taken from cow's blood and purified, and it's used in cell culture, so like growing cells, which some vaccines you need to grow cells to get enough of the vaccine replicated. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know if any of the vaccines actually use that. That is just off the top of my head what I think a possible thing could be. So the last question was, weren't they rushed? The answer to that is, normally how labs work is you're in a lab and you all have a general thing that you study. Like, we study embryology. My lab has 10 different people. That means that there are 10 different projects. I'm doing my own project, nobody else touches it. But if we had the capability of when the pandemic first began, if we had the ability to move to studying viruses, we would have. We didn't have any of the equipment. We don't work with viruses in that capacity. We don't really grow viruses or study them. We use them as tools sometimes, but so our lab wasn't capable. But any lab that had virology experience basically converted to studying COVID-19. And not only was it just one person's job in the lab to study this, it was everyone's. So if you have a lab with 10 people and it's just you working on something, it might take you 10 years to get the process done. But if you have 20 people working on a vaccine, you can get it done a lot faster. So while the vaccines were released quicker than usual, they were released with emergency approval from the FDA. And so they didn't undergo they basically didn't undergo the formal FDA approval, which they are now seeking. I believe Pfizer has gotten FDA approval, at least for giving adults the vaccine. and that's full non-emergency approval. And but they were still tested. They still went through the processes. There were still trials. It was just expedited, and they didn't have to go through all of the bureaucracy that is necessary for full FDA approval. Which I'm not saying that the bureaucracy is bad. I'm saying that if you have all hands on deck focusing on one thing, and then the FDA was also focused on that thing, it's going to get done a hell of a lot quicker than normal vaccines not during a pandemic. Okay, but I'm going to go. I need to take a shower and stuff before the home tour thing.
Alrighty, well, thank you for coming on and talking science stuff. I think you have, as an impartial observer, I'm going to say that you beat the random person who didn't cite any sources and then shit on people in stream and then ran away the second you started actually talking science.
Yeah. I didn't even see if they had said anything in response to anything I said.
They completely ignored you. They added everyone except for you and just called them names. So.
Oh.
Real scientific stuff.
What does moo mean by don't get banned on Google?
Oh, they were talking about how I would share my sources, but my sources have been banned on Google.
Oh my god. Okay. All right.
That's also why I said that's also why I said the Dutch thing earlier, because they were like, I would share my sources, but they're all in Dutch. That probably seemed very random to you. I was commenting on their thing.
I mean, they could have translated it. They could have put it through Google Translator, and I would have gotten the gist. But anyway, if they ever come back, that's gonna be funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love you.
Love you, Hannah.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
That's very Baja Blasts. All right. What else did I miss? Amazing Physicist says, I've been lurking for a while, but I can't tag you in Twitch, so just wanted to say you do good things, Baja. Also, I'm sorry, I'm very silent, Hannah. You sexy thing, you. Daddy Sume says, remind me of how Rome appointed a dictator in times of crisis.
Simmons sticking out his tongue, making faces. This is also biblical. From Isaiah 57:4. Whom do you mock, making faces and sticking out your tongues? You children of sinners and liars. And that's exactly what he is. Again, pushing the jab and downing the flat earth truth. And getting back to KISS and the origin of the name, you have Knights in Satan's Service, and you have the two lightning bolts as shown here. Let's get a actual better image of it.
Oh no!
And you see the KISS with the, again, dual lightning bolts. And this is again out of the Bible, where
they're going to talk about Satan fell like lightning. Yep, that's always the one they go for. Because this one verse says Satan fell like lightning. Anytime there's lightning, it's Satanism.
Jesus beheld Satan.
Did I ever put that on the page of like Freemason satanic stuff? Did I ever put lightning on here? If not, I probably should. Yeah, well, we'll put lightning. Getting a pretty full page. Oh, it was already on there? My bad. How dare I? It's getting hard to keep track of. There's just so many.
Satan fall from heaven as lightning. So this is very key, very important. Again, every aspect of what they do, there's a backstory, and it's very obvious for those that understand how these people work and how they operate. And just like all the so-called artists in the music industry, as you see here, Billy Idol as the Billy Goat.
You know, those hip, up-and-coming artists that all the kids talk about these days, like Billy Idol.
With Devil's Playground, you see...
It was a nice day to have a white wedding about 30 years ago, okay? He's not relevant. What are you doing?
These Skull and Bones when it comes to Freemasonry. And just take a look here at Billy Idol at a concert, performing, and just take a look above. There is the lightning bolt symbolism, and they put the crown on the symbol that represents Satan. Just as you see here, more of the same, and just understanding all these are willing puppets on the world stage, deceiving the masses. And again, it's all about signs and symbols. And like Confucius once stated, signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor laws. And the importance of seeing the truth through signs and symbols.
That's all I can play of that, for obvious reasons. Pulp Free Fiction says, don't be mean, Hannah. He's still recovering from being cryogenically frozen for 40 years. That's true. Andrew Patella says, isn't signs and symbols a reference to astrology? I don't know. It probably is, but I don't know enough about Confucius to say yes or no on that one. Hey, let's see what this dude is up to. Daniel Pratt, Flat Earther, Scary Man. Let's see what he's doing. Nick says, more like Ace of Based.
So, as this anti-Christ, anti-truth agendas of these powers and principalities roll on, the hypocrisy of it all just gets more obvious and more hilarious every day.
Did you miss Elvis and JFK Jr. working for Trump? You did, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Every day.
You can always watch it later on YouTube. Citisaurus says, finally got in touch with a friend from high school. I'm so happy because they actually want to talk to me. It's crazy. They also have the number of someone else I lost touch with who I've been wanting to talk to but had no idea how to find. Great birthday gift. Yeah, that happened to me a while ago, too. A friend from high school got in touch with me. And this is the first friend from high school I've really talked to at length since I came out, because I came out long after I got out of high school, relatively speaking. And we've hung out since then. She's, you know, doing well. Feels nice having someone that knew you back then accept me for who I am now. Nick says, this Zack Snyder cut of Joker is weird.
I get just great satisfaction out of morons.
Symbology for the lightning? Yeah. Spurious symbology is evidence. What's on the bingo card already? Reptilians. QAnon claims the source. Hannah mentions cheese. Satanic. Thinly veiled anti-Semitism. Baja Blasts. Illuminati Freemasons. Spurious symbology is evidence. And my research said not by a researcher.
Complete.
We are playing bingo. If you want a bingo card, you can get one. First winner gets a gift sub.
Insane morons that come to my channel. These are the very same people that will tell you that boys can be girls if they want to be.
They can be. Good news. City Streetlight, thank you for following.
Or girls can be boys.
Yep.
That people born with penises aren't boys. They can be whatever they want to be. They can...
You can be. It's magical. I'm doing that. I'm on hormones. I got the boobas now. It's pretty good.
Deny that science, that natural fact, and just be whatever they want to be, or vice versa. Anyone born with a vagina can be a boy, a girl, a ninja turtle.
Oh, was that an option? Can I be a ninja turtle? Can I get some ninja turtle hormones that teach me karate? Wait, can I have boobs and be a ninja turtle that knows karate? It is the one joke. Yes.
A rainbow unicorn, whatever they identify as, right? But if you have the nerve...
It'd probably be the ooze from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. I just need to find the ooze, and then I'll become a Ninja Turtle. Andrew Patella says, oh yes, the two genders, Attack Helicopter and Ninja Turtle. Daddy Sume says, here you go, Hannah. Oh yeah, yep. From the terrible Saban-produced live-action Ninja Turtles show. Venus, who was the lady Ninja Turtle, who indeed did kind of have boobs. For some reason.
To objectively observe the world around you, recognize that from the size of a
Mad Scurvy, thanks for following.
Cup, to a bucket, to a pool, to a pond, to a lake, every body of contained water.
Why do non-mammals have the booba? Because humans are sick. Because we're all horny monsters. And because someone wants to fuck that Ninja Turtle. The Lord has forsaken us. And I understand.
Is level and flat on the surface. If you have the nerve to recognize that, the nerve to recognize we all...
Do turtles have cloacas? Asking for a friend.
All experience a stationary Earth and feel no movement. We
could always be Jenica from the IDW comics. Oh, that's actually a pretty sweet design. That's rad. Yeah, and I don't see any booba. Which I respect, because turtles do not have the booba. That's pretty cool.
You can observe curvature nowhere if you have the nerve to identify as a flat earther.
Do you think God stays in heaven because he's afraid? He too is afraid of his creations. That's the best line from the Spy Kids series, bar none.
Well, then you're a lunatic, dangerous, terrorist, child abuser. This is what morons like Sean Hawkins, Fight the Flat Earth, and...
That's from Spy Kids? Yeah, hold on. Spy Kids 2. Do you think... Let me see if I can find it.
Why do they despise me so? I created them. Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
Spy Kids 2, The Island of Lost Dreams.
Many others propagate.
You've never seen Spy Kids 2, but you've seen all the other Spy Kids movies? Are you a serial killer? Because that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. You sat down and you watched all the Spy Kids movies, which is weird in and of itself for an adult to do. But you did that, but you were like, I'm not feeling number 2. Spy Kids 4, All the Time in the World? Yes, yes, please. But Spy Kids 2? That's weird. That's super weird.
Gay. So, you can deny natural science and the sexual organs you are born with.
Don't mind if I do.
because you're a petulant little child that thinks you can just manifest your own reality.
You're a flat earther.
And that's perfectly sane and intelligent, according to Luciferian morons like this. But if you recognize the world for what it truly is, then you're a retarded, insane, conspiracy theorist, flat earther.
Okay, I definitely wouldn't use those specific words, but yes, if you're a flat earther, you're a conspiracy theorist and you're wrong.
The hypocrisy is ridiculous at this point. And that's all you really need to know. Lies are truth, truth are lies, good is bad, bad is good. Everything is upside down and inside out from what it should be. Why? Because Lucifer and the powers and principalities that rule this dark world have upended everything, turned it on its
Thanks, Lucifer. This one's for you.
head and turned it into bizarro opposite world.
Holly Hoomt says, my dick's gonna be inside out if I have anything to say about it. Based. That's how gender affirmation surgery works, for those who don't know, at least for trans women. Assigned Lucifer at birth.
So, if you accept the truth, the scientific facts, the natural born entities with penises are boys and boys only.
Yeah, that's not true, though, because gender and sex are different things. I think this has been explained to most people at this point, you know. I'd be happy to explain to him again if he wasn't a horrifying person. But for those who don't know, yeah, sex is like things like, oh, you have XX or XY chromosomes, or you have a penis or a vagina, and even that isn't a black and white thing because there are a lot of intersex people. But generally speaking, sure, I would be comfortable with someone saying my sex is male, because I understand what they're saying when they say that, but my gender is not. My gender, my identity is female. They're different things.
Well, then you're a homophobic sexist.
I don't know about sexist, though they often go together, but yeah, it's transphobic, sure.
But if you recognize that large bodies of water are always level, we are not experiencing movement. No one on this earth can prove the earth moves.
Yes, they can and have many times. Even flat earthers proved that. Bob, who's part of Globe Busters, he and his people, they're flat earthers, they spent $20,000 on a laser gyroscope, and they were able to prove that the Earth was rotating. They did it accidentally. They were trying to prove the opposite, but they indeed did show that the Earth rotated at 15 degrees per hour, which is what you expect. Like Max says, I'm not going to read that. That's not generally considered to be a very nice word for intersex people, I'm pretty sure.
1 inch, much less thousands of miles an hour. Well, then you're a science-denying, child-abusing terrorist. Or maybe it's you people are indoctrinated, brainwashed lunatics that are earthophobes and earthists. See, you're supposed to be proud of your science-denying when it comes to your sexual orientation.
It's not science-denying, though. I'm on the same page of the American Medical Association and the American Psychological Association. Daniel Pratt is on the side of flat earthers.
You're almost expected to deny science and be proud. Go to a pride parade.
You don't have to go to a pride parade. They're a lot of fun, though. I had a really good elephant ear at one once. But yeah, pride parades are fun. You don't have to go, though. Nick says child abusing terrorist. Got something to admit, Daniel?
Because you deny the natural scientific fact.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that's not how science works, I think, on the bingo card.
Facts of...
What's an elephant ear? You've never had an elephant ear. An elephant ear is like a fair food or like a carnival food. It's basically fried dough with cinnamon on top. It's very good. You know, in that carnival food, it's terrible for you kind of way. People put powdered sugar on them often. 74 Quinn 74 says, our Milwaukee Pride Parade is happening this October. Can't wait. Mike Mack says, didn't know. Sorry, I was just wondering how these people view born with both sexual organs. Yeah, I don't know. It's literally fry bread. Sure. I don't know. Might just be a different name regionally or, you know. Yeah, it's a funnel cake, basically. Yeah. They're just called elephant ears, colloquially.
What you were born, whether you like it or not. No, you can just kick and scream and say, but my snowflake little feelers. And you're praised and accepted these days. But if you recognize the scientific facts that prove beyond any shadow of a doubt this is a level stationary plane, well then you're a science-denying flat earth retard.
You're a science denier, and you are a flat earther. I wouldn't use the R word.
It's horrible. You're a horrible person if you discriminate against anyone in this world except the people that accept the reality they're living in.
Wait, how are you being discriminated against for being a flat earther? People telling you you're wrong isn't being discriminated against in this case. It's not like people are like, you're disgusting for being a flat earther. They're just like, oh no, the earth's round though. Profane Priestess says, in my experience, they deny the existence of intersex folks because it doesn't fit their narrative. Also, he's projecting so hard.
And call it out and try to teach it to other people. Well, then you're the worst person on earth. The flat earth. But you can go ahead and be a Ninja Turtle if that's what you identify as.
It's the one joke again.
Oh, my pronouns are fuck and you.
It's the one joke again. Yay! Dylan Burns TV, thank you for the follow. That's a person, right?
To you lunatic, trans, child abusing, pervert, pedos that are trying to force your lunacy, your insanity on children now. But flat earthers are the child abusers. You fucking perverts can run around teaching children the ages of 5, 6, 7 about sex. I don't give a fuck what.
I don't think we had any sort of, at least in my school, I don't think we had any sort of sex ed until, I think, 5th grade. And it was basically like, hey, if you have a penis and balls, you're gonna have wet dreams. This is a thing that's gonna happen. And here's puberty, and here's what's gonna happen. I was in the, boy. They basically separated based on sex, and then the boys got one presentation and the girls got another. I assume the girls one explained, like, puberty and, like, you're gonna get your period and stuff. And the boy one was like, here's what nocturnal emissions are, because that's the one that they sent me to, because I, wasn't out. Yeah, we didn't learn, like, sex ed until middle school, I think.
Sexual orientation, you're teaching it, trying to teach them.
Kids know that gay people exist.
The fact that you're talking to children about sex at all, when I was coming up as a young man would have got your fucking jaw broke.
And you turned out great, Mr. Flat Earther.
By me. Proudly. Because you're a demented fucking pervert if you're trying to teach children that age about sex at all.
They really don't? If they do, is he literally just talking about explaining to kids, like, sometimes there's a mommy and a daddy, and sometimes there's a daddy and a daddy, and sometimes there's two mommies? Like, does he consider that teaching sex to kids? Because it's not? That's just explaining that, like, same-sex couples exist? I don't know.
You're up.
Someone wants a link? Okay, here you go.
Pedo fucking pervert.
That's the thing. They always like to call pedo at people. It's interesting. It's like the only insult they have because it's such a devastating accusation to lay at someone. Even baselessly. Very strange.
And may you burn in hell. It would be better you had a millstone tied around your neck and thrown to the bottom of the fucking ocean.
Oh, getting a little, medieval. Nice. Careful, kitty. Nick says, if I saw someone like Daniel assault people in my ideal world, I would, ha ha ha, nope, can't read that. It literally said that verbatim.
Because you're a waste of oxygen, you're demonic influenced fucking pedo, and you should be hung from your neck. How's that for homophobic?
If that's what you're going for, pretty good.
Or sexist. You science-denying, fucking insane lunatics. You should be locked up.
Again, I feel the need to reiterate. He is a flat earther. He is a literal flat earther.
Up for life.
Jesus Christ. What's this article someone sent about a time traveler? Seattle attorney Andrew Basiago claims U.S. sent him on time travels. A lot of people have a hard time trusting lawyers as it is, but what about one who claims he was part of a secret government time travel program when he was a kid? Since 2004, Seattle attorney Andrew Basiago has been publicly claiming that from the time he was 7 to the time he was 12, he participated in, quote, Project Pegasus, a secret U.S. government program that he says worked on teleportation and time travel under the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Okay. Mr. Sir Knight Kingyo says, he said hung, but he meant hanged. Those two words don't mean the same thing. Windchanter says, hey, have you seen the Freedom Phone? I have. It's very funny. I feel like I've actually seen someone else do a similar grift to that, but... Killjoy says, and his name? Gordon Freeman. You gotta watch out for those Cascade events, you know? Dingleberry QQ, thanks for gifting us up. Quote, they trained children along with adults so they could test the mental and physical effects of time travel on kids, Basiago told the Huffington Post. Also, children had an advantage over adults in terms of adapting to the strains of moving between past, present, and future. Why would that be? Why would that be? That doesn't make sense. Did you miss Peter? You did not. Nevertheless, Basiago's claims get support from Alfred Webre, a lawyer specializing in exopolitics. That's what Peter calls alien politics, so I'm curious if it's the same thing. Oh, yep. Or the political implications surrounding an extraterrestrial presence on Earth. Webb said, I'm just going to call him Webb, I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, so I'm going to go with Webb. Webb said, teleportation and time travel have been around for 40 years, but are hoarded by the Defense Department instead of being used to transfer goods and services faraway distances. Wow, the Defense Department had time travel technology and they still couldn't win the war on terror? They kind of fucking suck. Magic Lad says, S.H.I.E.L.D. is real. I thought Project Pegasus was about the Tesseract. That is what they called the Tesseract Project, actually, in the Avengers. Basiago said he experienced 8 different time travel technologies during his stint in the program. Mostly, he said, his travel involved a teleporter based on technical papers supposedly found in pioneering mechanical engineer Nikolai Tesla's New York City apartment after his death in January 1943. It always comes back to Tesla. Nikolai Tesla was a smart guy who had great ideas, but, like, the dude was not magic. He couldn't invent technology that's, like, impossible. Fu Manchu with 100 bits says the Department of Defense had teleportation tech, but my dumbass still had to march with 30 plus pounds on my back in the Iraqi summer. Yep. They just don't give a shit about you, I guess. Who would have thought? Nick says, why would they win the war on terror when it's more profitable for the defense contractors paying them off? Oof. Too real. Hype Train, 56% of level 1. The machine consisted of 2 gray elliptical booms about 8 feet tall, separated by about 10 feet, between which a shimmering curtain of what Tesla called radiant energy was broadcast. Basiago said, radiant energy is a form of energy that Tesla discovered that is latent and pervasive in the universe and has among its properties the capacity to bend space-time. Basiago said project participants would jump through this field of radiant energy into a vortal tunnel, and when the tunnel closed, we found ourselves at our destination, so it's like a Stargate. It's a Stargate! One felt as if one was moving at a great rate of speed or moving not at all. I guess that, yeah, sure, those are options. As the universe was wrapped around one's location. Isn't this citing a study from the 18th or 19th century? Was Tesla... I thought Tesla was, like, early 20th century. Variegated, thank you for 100 bits, says, Hype, Train, Hype. Happy Tuesday to you, Hannah in chat. Happy Tuesday to you, too. Basiago claimed he can be seen in a photograph of Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg in 1863, which he said he visited in 1972 via a plasma confinement chamber located in East Hanover, New Jersey. I had been dressed in period clothing. As a Union bugle boy, he said, I attracted so much attention at the Lincoln speech site at Gettysburg wearing oversized men's street shoes that I left the area around the dais and walked around 100 paces over where I was photographed in the Josephine Cog image of Lincoln at Gettysburg, the boy on the left in the photo below. Why would they have dressed him in adult shoes? What? Puka the Duka, thank you for 300 bits. Fu Manchu says, Homie had one cool acid trip after binging Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, and Stargate one weekend and calls the Huffington Post for this. 1856 to 1943. Alright, I'll count that. We can do citing a study from the 18th or 19th century. Cites a study from the 18th or 19th century. Lord Necro Jay-Z claims bingo. Post your bingo card. I'll check it for you. 88% of level 1. NetCirc, you were very close, but Lord Necro Jay-Z got it first. I'll check Lord Necro Jay-Z's. If for some reason his is not correct, I'll go on a NetCirc, but Lord Necro Jay-Z was first. Mike Mack says, hope the time travel doesn't create alternate timelines or universes because that would suck, especially Dragon Ball Z multiple timelines. In addition, Basiago said he traveled to Ford's Theater the night of Lincoln's assassination on 5 or 6 occasions. I did not, however, witness the assassination, he said. Once I was on the theater level when he was shot, and I heard the shot followed by a great commotion that arose from the crowd. It was terrible to hear. Why would you go back in time to Lincoln's assassination 5 or 6 times and never watch it? Is Our American Cousin that good of a play that he's like, I know history's about to be made up in that balcony, but, like, the performances are so good! Paladin Lost with 100 bets says he went to Ford's Theater and decided not to do shit? I know, right? Where does Hannah want it posted? Just in the chat. Just give me the link to your bingo card. Just the, like, because if you link us that page, I can see it. There it is. Nope. The whole link didn't post for some reason. It only posted part of the link. Basiago said each of his visits to the past was different. Maybe if I try and copy-paste it, it'll work. Oh, it was missing the slash. Stormfox says, here's a video of that Let's Be Frank being big mad that the UN is doing a race study in the US, and a lot of comments want to kill UN people. Yikes. There it is. Oh, we didn't do the hype train. That's unfortunate. Spurious symbology, cites a study, that's not how science works, flat earth, satanic child abuse. You got it, Lord Necro JZ. You got it. I'll write your name down in the bingo winners thing. And then we'll finish reading that article. Okay. Andrew Patella says the reason he couldn't save Lincoln is because JFK Jr. was already saving Lincoln and bringing him to the present. Good stuff. Basiago said each of his visits to the past was different, like they were sending us to slightly different alternative realities on adjacent timelines. As these visits began to accumulate, I twice ran into myself during 2 different visits. After being sent back in time to the same place and moment, but from different starting points in the present, allowed 2 of themselves to be in Ford's Theater at the same time in 1865. I like thinking about time travel because my favorite genre is sci-fi. And my favorite subgenre of sci-fi is time travel, just because I think it's a fun plot device. I like the speculative fiction of, like, what's the future going to be like? Or historical fiction that's, you know, time travel based. And also just, like, the inherent fallacious nature of the logic of time travel. I find it interesting. So the idea of running into yourself in time travel, I like what Back to the Future 2 did, where when 2 people knowingly run into each other and they both realize that it's them from the future or the past, they immediately pass out. Here's how I would, if I was writing, say it. Basically, it's like a, you know when you like if I were to put this headphone up to this mic, it would get feedback, and it would just get louder and louder and louder because it's hearing itself. That's how I would describe time travel if I was writing time travel fiction. If you run into yourself, you are reacting to a past version of yourself, and that past version is being affected by what future you is doing, which is affecting future you, which further affects past you, and it's like a feedback loop of causality, which causes you to, like, pass out because you can't handle the constant shift in timeline. Someone steal that idea, because I like that as a concept. Write a short story or something. What about time cop rules? Aren't time cop rules that if you run into yourself and touch yourself, you merge into one person or something? It's been a long time since I saw Time Cop. Wasn't old Biff able to talk to young Biff? Yes, but young Biff didn't know it was old Biff. As long as one of the parties doesn't know that it's them, it works out in Back to the Future logic. That's not how it would work if I was writing it. It would be any time you're directly interacting with yourself it would happen, but it's Back to the Future. It's not supposed to be taken super seriously anyway. Andrew Patella says, wouldn't that feedback loop cause those branches of the quantum wave function to cancel out? Yeah, those words mean things. Mike Mack says, that's not how time travel work. Hulk. I like the Avengers version of time travel. It just makes alternate realities. That's a good way to do it. You merge into goop and are erased from the timeline. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember. Okay. After the first of these two encounters with myself occurred, I was concerned that my cover might be blown, he recalled. Unlike the jump to Gettysburg, in which I was clutching a letter to Navy Secretary Gideon Welles to offer me aid and assistance in the event that I was arrested, I didn't have any explanatory materials when I was sent to Ford's Theater. And how did these alleged time travelers return to the present day or their point of origin? According to Basiago, some sort of holographic technology allowed them to travel both physically and virtually. That doesn't mean anything. If we were in the hologram for 15 minutes or fewer, he explained, the hologram would collapse, and after about 60 seconds of standing in a field of supercharged particles, we would find ourselves back on the stage in the present. Now we're getting a little bit of Quantum Leap, like Al time-traveling via hologram. Basiago said the technology should only be used for real-time teleportation, not time travel, because it would be chaos. Basiago and Webb recently held a seminar in Vancouver, focusing on the need to disclose, deploy, and declassify the technology, as well as the public policy decision that would be needed to use it. Webb, for one, said he wants teleporters installed in every major city where people and products would be transported through the space-time continuum. This would free up a lot of urban space that's currently being used by train yards or airports. Of course there are risks. Basiago remembers feeling extreme turbulence while going through the Vordel time tunnel. Webb said one tragedy occurred in the early days of the technology in which a child in Project Pegasus arrived a few seconds before his legs! Oh, no. Mike Mack says, I surprised this guy, survived the Langoliers. Okay, Langoliers rules are pretty good, too. The idea that the past is empty and doesn't exist concurrently, I kind of like that idea, too. That's fun. It's very Lovecraftian, the idea that we are all moving through time and the past is being eaten by these eldritch beings. What the fuck is this? It's making you feel drunk? You're welcome. He was writhing in pain with just stumps where his legs had been. Webb said problems like that have since been solved. Still, he said teleportation needs strict legal controls to prevent it from being used for political control, economic control, or illegal surveillance. All of this is fascinating stuff, if true, but experts who include retired Army Colonel John Alexander, former director of the Advanced Systems Concepts Office, U.S. Army Laboratory Command, are, to put it mildly, skeptical. If this could be done, if anyone could go even 1 second into the future, we'd own the world, Alexander told Huffington Post. There are computer programs on Wall Street that are hundredths of a second faster and provide a tremendous advantage. Basiago said that as many as 100 people worked on Project Pegasus. Alexander said he doubts that many people could keep the secret for 40 minutes, much less 40 years. There's a saying in Washington, if two people know something, it's not a secret, said Alexander, author of UFOs, Myths, Conspiracies, and Realities. If this was used by the Department of Defense, how did we miss the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq or the fall of the Shah of Iran? Well, I can tell you how we missed the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. They weren't there. Basiago said Alexander's rhetorical questions can be explained by the paradoxes of the space-time continuum. I only know about how time travel technology was used during my involvement with Project Pegasus, so this is only speculation, he said, but it's possible that forward intelligence showed Iraq leader Saddam Hussein using the weapons of mass destruction, but our military went in and toppled him before he could use them. Oh my god. Mike Mack says, what about the grandfather paradox of being your own being your own grandpa? Yeah, this is why alternate timelines makes the most sense, I think, for time travel fiction if you're trying to be somewhat consistent. Because time travel fucks causality completely. Or I also like the version, like the Terminator 1 version of time travel, where if you go back in time, you've always been part of the course of events anyway, and nothing you do will ever change anything. If you go back in time to stop the Titanic from being sunk, you probably had a part in it sinking, or you were always supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Timeline is set. You can't change anything. Or like you go back in time to kill baby Hitler, and you do that, and then they adopt a baby, and that baby is actually Hitler. You know? Mike Mack says, what about the grandfather... Nope, read that one. Sorry. Andrew Patella says, but if you have time travel technology, you can go back to the place in time where the secret was leaked and kill the leaker. I guess that's true. There was a cute movie I saw, I think it's called, like, The Invention of Time Travel. Mockumentary. The History of Time Travel, that's what it is. The History of Time Travel, I enjoyed it. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but I thought it was cute. The History of Time Travel, if you haven't seen it, I think it's on Amazon, is a mockumentary that's about the invention of time travel. In this universe, time travel was invented in, like, the... oh, gosh, I don't remember when it was initially invented. But the interesting thing about the documentary is, throughout the documentary, the facts change, because clearly people are using the time machine as you are watching the documentary, thus causing when time travel is invented to change. And it, like, goes back in time and forward in time when it gets invented, and continuity changes, and how they're talking about it changes. It's very interesting. I'd recommend a watch. It's not, like, an amazing movie, but it's fun. Oh god, have you guys seen Primer? Primer is probably the most realistic time travel movie ever, but that doesn't make it the most entertaining, that's for sure. Good movie, though. Well constructed. Daddy Sume says, Red Alert has the best time travel. Einstein goes back in time and assassinates Hitler, but that allows a worse timeline in which Stalin rises and starts an even worse war that basically ruins all of Europe, even more than World War II did. Tucker White says, so it's a film about what if Soviets landed on the moon before America? National Anthem of the USSR. I can't play it because that particular one is copyrighted. But yes, in that one, the Soviets get use of the time machine and do a lot of the stuff that America did like that. Mike Mack says, what about the bootstrap paradox? Again, I think stuff like that's fun. The Doctor explaining the bootstrap paradox is one of my favorite scenes from Doctor Who. Zero M80 says, I've never understood killing Hitler as a baby. Kill him when he's a soldier in World War I. Kirthan says, I highly recommend This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone. I'm lesbian. It's a lesbian time travel secret romance. Ooh, I like that. Let me see if I can find that thing of the Doctor. The Doctor bootstrap. I'll just have to edit this out when I upload this to YouTube, but it's fine. This is from the official Doctor Who YouTube channel. This is one of only 2 times in Doctor Who history the Doctor has broken the 4th wall, and I love this scene. I love Doctor Who. It's my favorite show. Tucker White says, I've seen enough time travel films to know if you go back to change something bad, you just end up with something equally as bad or even worse. Mike Mack says, I love Marvel Multiverse examples of time travel where Doctor Doom went looking for the cause of the destruction of the multiverse and he ended up causing it. Yeah. Yeah, Peter Capaldi's great. He's one of my favorite. He might be my favorite Doctor at this point, but it's tough. I really like Matt Smith too, but Peter Capaldi is probably the better actor. But I do like the silliness of 11. If you haven't seen Doctor Who, I'd recommend it. Check it out. Especially if you like time travel. It's a fun time travel show. Let's watch Sausage Guy.
Hey folks, and welcome back, I guess. Alright, so this recipe calls...
I don't think there's ever been a bad actor to play the Doctor There have been some bad scripts. I think Jodie, in particular, got real fucked by Chibnall. I think Chibnall's a terrible showrunner and a terrible writer. But I think everyone who's gotten cast to play the Doctor does a pretty good job with what they're given. Patrick Troughton is my favorite classic Doctor. I love the second Doctor.
Just a whole lot of cheese. I mean, we got ounces of the stuff here. Lobster mac and cheese is essentially a way for restaurants to charge you $15 for $2 worth of ingredients. And quite frankly, I would say that
You just described the restaurant business.
I've never had a lobster mac and cheese that was worth it. That is until today. Jesus Christ, Feifel. So it's the
Oh, his cat's name is Feifel?
lobster macaroni and cheese sausage.
Yeah, I'm hoping someday Jodie does some audios with better writers, because I think there's a lot of potential for her version of the Doctor. The scripts just haven't served her very well.
First, we need to boil the lobster tails, but the water isn't boiled yet, so we're gonna make the sauce first. Add a hunk of butter to a different pot, flour it up until it's like a paste. Dump in just a ton of milk and stir it aggressively. Then start adding what appears to be just the wrong amount of cheese. How is it possible that this is the right amount? Hey, look at that!
Hydrate.
That was actually the right amount. All right, add some pepper and just a sprinkle of or that's way too much nutmeg. Well, it's too late to go back now. Drop in the lobster tails and cook them until cooked. Now cook the macaroni in the lobster water. Get the lobsters out of the shells the best way you can. Then chop it up into bite-sized pieces.
Hydrate.
Put the cooked macaroni in an oven-safe vessel, followed by the cheese sauce. Followed by stirring the macaroni in the cheese sauce. Followed by adding the lobster in. Followed by more stirring. Finally, we make the top layer. I'm already in 2 pots deep, so I'm not breaking out a pan for this, but you probably should do that. Anyway, get that pot all
The
nice
cheese
and
space is
buttered.
already marked off because I mentioned it earlier.
And add the panko breadcrumbs, and then top your lobster mac and cheese. Throw it in the oven for like 30 minutes, and then...
I need to make some actual good homemade mac and cheese. I always do the boxed stuff, but man, I love me some mac and cheese, and I could get some like really great cheeses for it. Ugh, that sounds so good.
give that bad boy a shot. It certainly tastes like macaroni and cheese with lobster in it, but what do you say we throw this in the grinder and make sausage out of it for old time's sake?
Mike Max says, I hate the Time Children episode because the Doctor is meant to be a random person, not a living Deus Ex Machina. I agree. I mean, the Doctor often is, the Doctor, let's be real, is pretty much a Deus Ex Machina, but at least in their backstory, the Doctor is supposed to just be a random Time Lord that ran away. And the retcon with the Timeless Children, I think, is just terrible for the show.
I want a sausage all over and over again. To the night closes in. To the night.
I love, by the way, lobster mac and cheese is the bomb. I'm not big on lobster usually, but in mac and cheese it's pretty good. I couldn't sit there and eat like an entire lobster or even like a lobster tail on its own, but like put that shit in some pasta, I'm on board.
Closes in. All right, in 3, 2, 1, let's sausage. That's one ugly looking sausage. Will it blow? Two-thirds of it ended up on the floor, and that's what we're left with. I'm gonna have to give this Will It Blow 1 Mark Ruffalo's. Here we go. All right, let's open her up and see how we did. Well, it primarily looks like macaroni and cheese. And now it's time to taste it.
You haven't watched Doctor Who in years, what was the retcon? It's been like a year and a half. I think it's past the spoiler date for this. I'll warn you anyway. Mute this if you don't want to hear spoilers for the end of the last season of Doctor Who. Okay? I'll give you a second. I'll signal you when I'm done doing spoilers if you mute this. I'll put on the pink sunglasses that I have, okay? So mute it if you don't want spoilers. I'll give you a second. Again, the glasses will come on when I'm done doing spoilers. Okay, so the last episode of the most recent season of Doctor Who explained that Time Lords didn't naturally get their regeneration ability. The Doctor fell into Gallifrey from a portal from some other dimension and innately had regeneration abilities. Infinite regeneration ability with no limit. The Time Lords then experimented on the Doctor, who wasn't the Doctor yet, of course, but was just a child at the time. Regenerated many times. This is long before William Hartnell's first Doctor, by the way. This establishes that the first Doctor is not actually the first Doctor. That there have been countless previous versions of the Doctor. And their memory had just been wiped of all the memories prior to William Hartnell's Doctor, which made him think he's the first Doctor, even though he's not. So, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It makes the Doctor this ultra amazing, best ever, you know, super being, as opposed to just a random Time Lord, which is a big part of the character. So, it's shitty. Alright, I'm done with spoilers, so I'm gonna put this on.
The sausage! But first, a little fan mail opening has never hurt a single soul. Thank you, Virtual Ghost. This is a fantastic interpretation of a sausage. Alright, enough messing around. Let's try this sausage. It 100% tastes like macaroni and cheese. I taste zero of the lobster in this lobster mac and cheese sausage. I wouldn't go through all the trouble of making this to make it into a sausage. And for that reason alone, I'm gonna have to give this sausage here a 2 out of 5.
That's a shame. That could have been really good. Or I hoped it would have been, actually. Butternut Squash, thanks for subscribing for 6 months. Okay. E.T.'s about time for me and Baha to go look at the house. So let me raid someone, so we can go ahead and do that. I guess let's raid Dylan Burns TV, since I think Dylan followed earlier, so why not? Raid Destiny? No thanks. Alright, have a wonderful evening, everyone. I should be back tomorrow for some other kind of stream. Maybe D&D. I guess we'll find out. I'll see you guys later. Bye.